Chapter 900. The white-haired woman and Li He arrived at the same time. They stared at Li Changyun, who was in a strange position. "Stupid mortals, you will pay the price for what you did today." Li Changyun's voice became very sharp. It was hard to tell if he was a man or a woman. "Black demon, don't you dare hurt the innocent." Li He angrily shouted. "Hurt the innocent?" Li Changyun's expression was ferocious. "Ha ha ha, you're still as stupid as before. I will be back, and then it will be your time to die." Li Changyun slowly retreated, and his body disappeared into the darkness. Li He wanted to chase, but was stopped by the white-haired woman. Bang! Li Changyun's disappearing body was suddenly thrown out of the darkness, and smashed into a broken tree stump. "You want to leave just like that? You don't respect me at all." An arrogant voice spread out from the darkness, and a figure slowly appeared. The black cat was forced out of Li Changyun's body by that attack. It angrily roared, "I have no grudge against you, why do you have to go against me?" Sheng thought for a moment, "Get rid of evil for the people." The black cat was so angry that its body twisted. Its sharp voice pierced through the clouds. "You are not that kind of person. I can feel the evil aura on your body. You were never a good person. Since you know I'm not a good person, why ask such a stupid question?" Sheng sneered, "I just want you to die." Who knew what kind of trouble this thing would bring her if it was alive? Most importantly, it wanted to run away with the male lead. How could that be possible? Meow. The black cat was like a cat whose tail was stepped on. It screamed sharply, and its body tensed up. Its fur stood on end, and it shot towards Sheng. It wanted to kill this woman. Sheng lightly waved the iron sword in his hand. The sword energy split into four, and surrounded the black cat in an arc. The four sword energies shot into the black cat's body at the same time. Its body fell to the ground. Its eyes were wide open, and green light flashed in them. It seemed like it couldn't believe that it had died just like that. Its claws left a few scratches on the ground. I won't give up, you." Before the black cat could finish its sentence, it breathed its last and its body turned into a few wisps of black smoke. The black smoke scurried around on the ground as if it wanted to escape. Li He took a few steps forward and formed a hand seal. He stopped halfway and stared at the woman standing in front of him. Sheng calmly sheathed his sword and glanced at Li He in disdain. With their speed, Li He would definitely be forced to run away. "Miss G. You're welcome." Li He. "Who the hell wants to thank you? Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Don't get angry. Calm down." Li He tried to calm himself down, but his words still sounded angry. "Miss G, if you destroy it, how are we going to get information from it?" Li He heard the voice on the other side of the phone and hurriedly said, "Captain, don't hang up. I still have a situation to report." "I know." The busy tone on the phone made Li He feel confused. He hadn't said anything yet. What did the captain know? "Captain, when did you learn to predict the future?" In a dark secret room, Chu In piously prayed to the wooden tablet on the incense table. She had changed into a white robe. Her white hair was tied into a vintage bun. She looked like a beauty who had walked out of a painting. She had a classic charm. Chu Miao was tied to a chair in the corner. Her mouth was gagged. She could only make muffled sounds. After Chu In finished praying, she quietly stared at the wooden tablet for a moment. A faint voice sounded in the secret room, "Meow meow, we didn't have a choice. Mother is sorry." Chu Miao struggled with all her strength. Her small face was pale. Why did she have to go through all this? She just wanted to be an ordinary person and live an ordinary life. Why was it so difficult? Why did she have to be involved in all this? A long sigh sounded in the secret room. "I shouldn't have given birth to you." She turned to look at the struggling Chu Miao. "Meow meow, accept your fate." "Accept my fate? Accept what fate?" She didn't know what had happened. Why did she have to accept her fate? She didn't want it. Asterisk ask for votes T to the power of T. Chapter 901. Shi Shang returned to Chu family village once again. It was amazing that she could find this place. The mountain where she was kidnapped was not far from Z City, but Chu family village was deeper into the mountain. She walked in the wrong direction and ended up in Chu family village. What are you doing here? Gue Yu frowned as she looked at Chu family village. To get rid of evil for the people, Shi Shang said seriously. Those who did not know him might believe him. Get rid of evil as soon as possible. The enchantment outside Chu family village was still there, but it was obviously much weaker than before. She could enter easily, but Gue Yu could not. Blocked outside the enchantment, Shi Shang could only cut open the enchantment to let her in. The entire village was silent. Not a single sound could be heard, and there was no sign of human habitation. The large locust tree at the entrance of the village had already withered. There were burn marks at the bottom. Looking at the burn marks, it was not long ago. After entering the village, Shi Shang still did not see anyone. All the living creatures in the village had disappeared. Split up and search. Shi Shang pointed at 2 forks in the road. No. Gue Yu refused. I don't want to be separated from you. Shi Shang. Was I taking care of a child? After thinking about it, Shi Shang gave up on letting Gue Yu separate. This guy would attack without saying anything. As long as you intruded into his territory, he would kill you regardless of whether it was intentional or not. Last time, Shi Shang did not walk around the entire village. This time, he found that the village was actually quite big. There were winding roads everywhere. Gue Yu seemed to be familiar with this place. Although Shi Shang was walking in front, Gue Yu could always remind her where to go so that she would not have to circle back. You've been here before? Shi Shang asked suspiciously. Gue Yu did not refute. Yes. You're a ghost king. What are you doing here? Hiking. Shi Shang was even more suspicious. What was so special about this small village that made him come? Gue Yu pursed her lips and looked at Shi Shang. After a while, she said, a long time ago, the Chu family was a ghost hunter family. They passed down generations and were glorious for a long time. Later on, some of the Chu family's spells could only be used by women. Men could not use them. The Chu family began to decline and finally disappeared. What does that have to do with you coming here? Gue Yu's voice lowered. The place I was born in is the Chu family. Shi Shang was speechless. What the hell was this? I am not a member of the Chu family. Gue Yu continued. He was only born in the Chu family and had nothing to do with the Chu family. However, when he was born, an elder of the Chu family said something. Born in Chu, die in Chu. At that time, this sentence was interpreted by the Chu family to mean that he would bring disaster to the Chu family, so they threw him into the river. Whether he could survive or not depended on his own luck. Obviously, he did not survive, but he did not completely disappear either. At that time, he was very young and did not remember these things at all. He only found out about it when he met a Chu clan member. And the true meaning of that sentence was him. He was born in the song and died in the song. It was not that he would bring disaster to the Chu family, but that he would die in the hands of the Chu family. In order to prevent such a thing from happening, he wanted to kill everyone in the Chu clan. However, he found that he had no way of entering the Chu clan village. He could only send Jing Mei to watch over them. So it was you. At that time, those Jing Mei had said that someone had forced them into the bodies of the dead to watch over the people in the Chu clan village. That sentence was not wrong. Although Gue Yu did not die in the end, it was no different from being dead. And the female lead, Chu Miao, also played a crucial role in it. Where are your parents? Gue Yu shook his head. I don't know. I heard that they left after giving birth to me. Very good. The male and female leads were not the only ones with tragic backgrounds. There was also a freaking villain. After all, only a tragic background could create 2 extreme people. Gotcha. Shi Shang's gaze quickly swept to a thatched hut on the side, but Guei Yu's figure had already floated over. When he floated to the corner, his figure was blocked. A few seconds later, the thatched hut collapsed. A figure flew out of the thatched grass and landed in front of Shi Sheng. Li He. Shi Sheng reached out to stop Guei Yu. Why are you here? Li He's chest seemed to be frozen. His limbs were so stiff that he could not move them. His eyebrows and eyelashes were stained with frost. His body kept trembling. You. Why are you here? Why did he meet this psychopath again? Answer my question. The iron sword was pointed at Li He's neck. The cold air from the blade resonated with the coldness in his body. A thin layer of ice began to appear on the surface of his body. He believed that if he did not answer, she would definitely kill him. Their department's mission was to prioritize survival without exposing any major information. Li He's teeth chattered. We were ordered to pick someone up. Pick someone up? Shi Sheng frowned. Pick up who? Li He gritted his teeth and answered. Chewing. Chewing. He did not know him. Kill him. Guei Yu saw Shi Sheng sheath his sword and suggested. Li He. Big brother, we have no grudges. Why kill me? Even if he hated this woman before, he did not want to kill her directly. That makes sense. Shi Sheng nodded his head in agreement. Hey. Don't you know that it's illegal to kill people like this? I'll tell you something. In exchange, you can't kill me. Li He raised his voice and shouted. I don't really want to know. Shi Sheng crossed his arms and said with a lack of interest. Li He was stunned. How am I supposed to respond to that? Can't you act like a normal person? I just want to save my life. Seeing that Guei Yu was about to reach him, Li He did not care about the conditions and shouted, Our captain is investigating you. Wait a minute. Guei Yu stopped. She tilted her head and looked at Shi Sheng. Aren't you going to kill me? Shi Sheng shook his head. Li He heaved a sigh of relief. But before he could relax, he heard the girl say, I'll kill you later. Wait. Will. Kill. So she still wanted to kill him? Oh. Guei Yu stood obediently behind Li He. As long as Shi Sheng said the word, she would immediately take Li He's life. Li He felt like there was a knife hanging over his head. The rope that held the knife was swaying, ready to break at any moment. That knife would come down on him. His back was covered in cold sweat. He swallowed with difficulty, his breathing heavy. Shi Sheng kicked the gravel beside his feet. Who's your captain? It's the captain. Li He's nerves were tense. He did not dare to relax. Who knew if the ghost behind him would suddenly make a move? Shi Sheng glanced at Guei Yu. Li He quickly added, We don't know what the captain's name is. That's what everyone calls him. Captain, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to betray you. He had to save his life, so he had to sacrifice the captain. You don't appear often anyway. Chapter 902. Why is he investigating me? Shi Sheng thought everyone looked like Mu by now. Li He hesitated for a moment, then stammered. I suspect. Captain has a crush on you. Pfft, a crush on me? Shi Sheng couldn't help but laugh. She knew her temper very well. She didn't think that a normal person would have a crush on her. Li He thought that Shi Sheng didn't believe him, so he continued to betray his captain to increase his credibility. I saw your information in the captain's office. Even your likes and dislikes were listed clearly. The captain even ordered us not to touch you. If this isn't a crush, then what is? If it weren't for their captain, they would have investigated this woman countless times already. If their captain didn't want them to investigate, they couldn't disobey his orders. Who knew that their captain wouldn't let them and secretly investigated her himself? He even gave such a specious order. Wasn't this making them suspicious? You still haven't given up. That captain was definitely that idiot Mu Bai. Where is your captain? I want to kill him and avenge myself in the previous world. Captain didn't come. How could their captain come over for such a small matter? Think of a way to trick him over. Shi Sheng paused. Forget it. With your IQ, you'll be seen through in a minute. Li He. Was she attacking his IQ just now? Mu Bai was cunning and cautious. Normal methods wouldn't make him appear. The best method was to find him. With the foundation of the previous worlds, this guy probably wouldn't be easy to find. Kill? Gui Yu asked in an urgent voice. I already told you something so important. Why do you still want to kill me? Li He refused to accept it. Keep him. Gui Yu was a little unhappy. Her murderous aura overflowed. She still wanted to kill Li He. Shi Sheng glared at her. Gui Yu felt wronged and suppressed her murderous aura. Shi Sheng squatted down and looked at Li He at the same level. How long have you been with your captain? Li He didn't understand why Shi Sheng was asking this. Because of her tyrannical power, he answered honestly, more than 5 years. He used to work in another department and didn't go out into the field. He was only transferred to the captain later on. Then, do you think there's anything strange about your captain compared to before? Strange? What was so strange about it? It's just a habit. My tone and whatnot. Li He didn't say anything. Why should he tell this woman all this? This was top secret. However, Shi Sheng's questions had already made Li He feel a little strange. He remembered that 3 years ago, the captain wasn't so cold and didn't have a temper. But 3 years ago, the captain seemed to have changed overnight. His entire body exuded a strange aura that said, I'm a noble, you commoners shouldn't bother me. Furthermore, he seemed to have learned a lot of skills that he didn't know before, such as the strange method of catching ghosts, the various talismans, and even the etiquette of the rich. Every time he went on a mission related to the upper circle, the captain's performance was completely like someone who grew up in that circle, noble and elegant. They would learn some etiquette in case they needed to disguise themselves for important occasions. However, it was a little strange that the captain was born with it. Since Li He did not speak, Shi Sheng did not probe further and changed the topic. Did you come here alone? I have 2 companions. We went separate ways. Li He subconsciously looked at his watch. Oh no, it's almost time to meet. When they parted, they had set a time to meet under the big locust tree at the entrance of the village. Ah! A scream pierced the silence of the small mountain village. Li He's reaction was the biggest. It's Sun Han. He got up from the ground, swayed his body, and ran in the direction of the scream. Shi Sheng followed behind him slowly. After passing a few winding paths, a man was lying on the ground around him. Blood stained the ground around him red. Sun Han! Sun Han! Li He went forward and turned the man over. His abdomen was bleeding profusely and he was no longer breathing. In their line of work, they had long expected to die one day, but seeing his colleague die in front of him still made Li He panic. Li He's voice was hoarse. Brother, don't worry. I will avenge you. No matter what, he would not let him go. Li He reached out and closed Sun Han's eyes. He laid him flat and lifted his clothes to check the wound on his abdomen. His abdomen was full of holes. There was no pattern, as if he had been stabbed randomly. However, Sun Han only let out a scream, which proved that he had either lost consciousness or been gagged after the attack. Li He carefully checked his body, but other than the wound on his abdomen, there were no other injuries. Just as Li He was puzzled, another scream was heard. This scream was much more mournful than the previous one, and it did not stop. Li He followed the sound and ran to the crime scene. The same person was dead. The way he died was exactly the same as Sun Han's. His abdomen was full of holes, and there were no other injuries on his body. There were no signs of anyone around. 2 deaths in a row made Li He realize the danger. I have to report to the captain. He took out his phone, but the display showed that there was no service. There was no signal here, so there was no way to make a call. Li He fiddled with the phone for a while but could not make a call. He could only give up. Miss G, did you see anyone when you came in? There were signs of people living in this village, but they had not seen anyone since they came in. The entire village was like a deserted village. I saw them. Shi Shang's expression was still relaxed. Even though 2 people had died, he did not even frown. Li He did not think that she was very calm. She was cold-blooded. She didn't care whether other people died or not. Where are they? Shi Shang pointed at him. He was not asking about them. Besides us, did Miss Ji see anyone else? Shi Shang shook his head. No. Li He already knew the answer in his heart. He lowered his head and looked at his dead colleagues with a heavy heart. After a while, he looked up. Miss Ji, why did you come here? He had asked her earlier, but she did not answer. Why did she bring a ghost to this deserted area? Most importantly, this was Chu village. Shi Shang pursed his lips. The world is so big. I want to walk around. The world is so big. Of all the places you could go, you just had to come here. Who would believe you? Miss Ji, we are not in a good situation now. If you know anything, please tell me. You have to pay for information. Why should I tell you for free? Shi Shang raised his chin slightly. He was so arrogant that he wanted to strangle her and stuff her into a hole in the ground. Don't ask me when CI will counterattack. I can tell you clearly that it's impossible. There won't even be an ending. I don't want to explain this anymore, but people keep asking. Please remember, this is a story about a woman doting on a man. Don't get the theme mixed up. He couldn't get through to the phone, there was no sign of anyone, and 2 of his colleagues had mysteriously died. At this time, he could only place his hopes on this unhurried lunatic. At this time, the sky gradually darkened, and dusk enveloped the village. A gloomy aura invaded from all directions. Shi Shang entered the ancestral hall without a change in expression. Some memorial tablets were placed in the middle of the hall. They were covered in dust and couldn't be seen clearly. These memorial tablets were probably the ancestors of the Chu family. There are quite a few people in the Chu family. Shi Shang touched his chin and seemed to sigh. The Chu family is a huge family. These are all reputable seniors of the Chu family. Ordinary members of the Chu family can't even enter the ancestral hall. Li He stood outside the ancestral hall. Relying on the fact that he had insider information, he immediately boasted. After Li He finished speaking, he felt a cold gaze. He instinctively looked over and saw a ball of darkness. That icy cold gaze was like a solid substance that could stab into his heart. This ghost king, Guei Yu. Guei Yu retracted her gaze and floated to Shi Shang's side. I'm hungry. Li He thought she was going to say something, but that was all she said. She could still think of eating at this time. This lunatic was really something. Seeing a ghost show off her cooking skills, Li He was a little stunned. Did ghosts nowadays need to be so multi-talented? Because of the limited ingredients, Guei Yu only made a simple meal. Of course, there was only one portion for one person. There was no portion for Li He at all. Li He smelled the fragrance and his stomach growled. They thought they would be able to go back quickly and didn't bring much food. They only brought the kind of biscuits that were easy to carry. So Li He could only nibble on the biscuits and watch Shi Shang eat. After Shi Shang finished eating, he didn't do anything. He just sat in the clean place that Guei Yu had tidied up for him. Li He had used up too much energy during the day and unknowingly fell asleep. When he was woken up by a loud noise, he found himself in a sea of fire. He jumped up and ran outside. Shi Shang was standing in the square outside, looking at him calmly. This vicious woman didn't even call out to him. Li He looked at the raging fire. What did this woman do while he was sleeping? Shi Shang was very innocent. She didn't do anything. This fire came out of nowhere and had nothing to do with her. Ji Luiying. A man's hoarse voice came from the distant horizon. Black fog curled around the horizon that was burned red by the fire. It was dancing in the air. Why are you meddling in other people's business? His voice was filled with anger. Shi Shang looked up at the sky and said calmly, I'm doing a mission. If it wasn't for a mission, who would care about you? I'm very busy, okay? What mission? To kill you. The black fog engulfed the area and converged into the shape of a black cat. It landed in front of Shi Shang and bared its sharp fangs. Ji Luiying, this is my territory. Do you think I'll let you do as you please? That's hard to say. It's a 50-50 outcome. Arrogant. You don't like it? Come on, kill me. Shi Shang provoked. So what if I'm arrogant? I'm young if I'm not arrogant. Humph. Provocation doesn't work on me. The black cat snorted. Oh, your IQ has increased this time? The black cat's fur stood on end. Ji Luiying, your death is near. Just you wait. Why should I wait? I's time is precious. If you want me to wait, I'll wait. Even if your face is made of diamonds, I won't allow it. We'll have to fight to the death sooner or later anyway. Why not now? Come on. I'll call it a day if I kill you. The black cat. Who wants to fight with you now? I still have a deployment to complete. The black cat felt that the woman in front of it might really charge at it, so it slipped away. Where there's life, there's hope. Once it finished deploying everything, it would definitely torture this woman and let her know how powerful it was. The black cat wasn't in its original form, so it was easy for it to slip away. No one could catch it. Unfortunately, it didn't take Shi Shang into consideration. The black cat's hidden figure was directly ejected. Asterisk little fairy. Where there's life, there's hope. If I don't vote today, I won't be able to watch it next year. Vote. Cherub. No, I'm not in the mood. Little fairy. Why? Come, I'll be in a good mood after a kiss. Cherub. I didn't expect you to be such a little fairy. Little fairy. I'm such a little fairy. Chapter 904. Shi Shang swung his sword coolly. The blade split open the black cat's body, and the black gas dissipated instantly. King retard. How dare you try to set I on fire? Do you think I will let you off? Even if it wasn't the real thing, killing a clone would still weaken its power. Li He was dumbfounded the entire time. This woman was too fierce? She killed it with one strike? Shi Shang looked at the black gas in the sky that hadn't dissipated completely. He took out a talisman from his space and threw it into the sky. The talisman ignited and turned into a ball of flame. The ball of flame was reflected in Li He's eyes, dancing slightly. This thing could be used like this? He might have met a fake teacher. The flame floated in the air for a while, then suddenly flew towards the entrance of the village. Shi Shang immediately chased after it. The flame passed through the village and stopped in front of the big locust tree. The withered locust tree was like a monster that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws in the night. Shi Shang was a little surprised. You hid it well. She had thought that the problem lay in the ancestral hall, but after looking around for a long time, she only felt that there was a bit of evil in the ancestral hall, but it wasn't very strong. She didn't expect that she would be wrong. The final destination was the locust tree that she saw when she entered the village. As soon as Shi Shang finished speaking, the branches of the locust tree grew wildly. Green leaves appeared again, and white locust flowers hung on the branches. A strange fragrance filled the air. This is... Li He's face turned pale as he stepped back. The locust tree was controlled by it? The only explanation was that it ate the essence of the locust tree. Plants could become spirits, and spirits that had cultivated to the point of consciousness would produce essence chi. Essence chi was a great supplement for both humans and other demons who cultivated. Shi Shang walked towards the locust tree without a change in expression. Gu You wanted to grab Shi Shang, but when she reached out, her hand stopped in mid-air. He believed in her. And it would be better if she died. Gu You didn't think that there was anything wrong with her thinking. She could only be with him forever if she died, but she didn't want him to kill her. Are you not satisfied? Shi Shang's voice broke through the creaking of the branches. It was light and gentle. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not as good as him. Hua hua hua. The branches shook even more violently, and the long branches whipped down from the sky, scattering small locust flowers in the air. In a flash, Shi Shang dashed toward the roots of the big locust tree. The branches frantically tried to stop her, but Shi Shang's body was nimble. She dodged through the gaps between the branches. If she couldn't dodge, she would start to chop at the branches. The big locust tree couldn't stop the Shi Shang. The whole trunk began to shake, and the soil flew up, revealing the white bones under the soil that were wrapped by the roots. A foul stench assaulted his senses. Shi Shang frowned in disgust. Did it kill everyone in the village to feed itself? F***ck. This was too F***king disgusting. Host, shouldn't your first reaction be cruelty? I don't think so. What did it have to do with her? She wasn't the one who killed him. Most importantly, she had to sympathize with a string of data. Wasn't that a joke? I've already said so many times that this isn't a game. Didn't I explain it clearly enough when I explained it to the host? Why is the host so stubbornly insisting that this is a game? It's really tiring to correct the host's 3 views. I want to go on strike. As the big locust tree shook, more and more corpses were flipped out. The fragrance of the locust flowers mixed with the smell of decay. It was especially unpleasant. Shi Shang held her breath and chopped at the big locust tree. The iron sword chopped off the branches of the big locust tree. The branches fell to the ground, and the green color gradually faded, turning into dead branches. Swish, Shi Shang swung at the center of the big locust tree. After that, she returned to Guo Yu's side and buried her head in her chest. Her cool breath diluted that strange smell. There were still branches whipping at Shi Shang. Guo Yu raised her hand and easily caught those branches. The branches made a sizzling sound and instantly turned pitch black. They turned into dust and fell from Guo Yu's hand. Crack! The big locust tree broke in the middle and crashed to the ground. Ah! A shrill scream pierced through the night, startling a flock of birds resting in the distance. The sound of fluttering wings rang out like a 3D surround sound system. The big locust tree turned into black dust. The black cat's body gradually appeared. It looked smaller than before, its fur dark. It lay dying in a pile of bones. It actually lost. No. It didn't lose. Just one more day and it would succeed. It was all that woman's fault. She ruined everything. No matter whether you succeed or not, the ending won't change. A light female voice rang out. So, say goodbye to this world. So, say goodbye to this world. No. Chu Yinyin arrived the next day. Chu Miao followed behind her like a zombie. She hung her head, silent and expressionless. The village entrance was littered with corpses. Some had already rotted, while others hadn't. They all emitted a foul stench. There was no trace of the big locust tree. What's going on? Chu Yinin's eyes swept over the 3 people present. She was full of questions. Li He pointed at Shi Shang. She did it. She did it. It had nothing to do with me. Shi Shang said calmly, as you can see, I helped you kill the thing guarding it. You're welcome. Sigh, I'm Lei Feng again. Black Evil Spirit. Black Evil Spirit is dead? Chu Yinin obviously didn't believe it. She was a little incoherent. Impossible. How could you kill it? If Black Evil Spirit was so easy to kill, the Chu family wouldn't just suppress it. I killed it if I wanted to. What's impossible? She couldn't even kill such a small boss. How could she talk about the Sea of Stars? This Bao Bao is a villain with ambition. Hee. Is your ambition to go against the main character for no reason? I don't know what kind of ambition this is. Don't you think it's awesome that I can kill the protagonist? I'm speechless. How could it be? Chu Yinin retreated. She suddenly turned around and ran in the direction of the ancestral hall. A few minutes later, she stumbled back. Her hair, which was neatly tied up before, was now loose. Her white hair reached her waist. In such a strange scene, it was needless to say how strange it was. How did you kill it? Chu Yin stared at Shi Sheng. Although she was sure that it was gone, she still didn't believe that it was this girl who killed it. Her questioning tone made Shi Sheng very unhappy. So she directly retorted, "It's none of your business." Chu Yin, Li He, did this lunatic eat dynamite? She was so fierce and scary. He'd better not say anything. Come, vote. Vote to prove your love. Chapter 905. Shi Sheng finally believed that Chu Yin and Chu Miao were biological children. Chu Yin's way of speaking was exactly the same as Chu Miao's. So annoying. Chu Yin insisted that Shi Sheng tell her how she killed He Sha. Shi Sheng was a person who would only give in when he was in a good mood. After being provoked by Chu Yin, the two of them started to fight. In the end, Li He stopped Chu Yin and told her what happened. Only then did she let it go. If the two of them really fought, he would be the unlucky one. Is she really that capable? Chu Yin obviously still didn't believe it. Li He nodded. He had seen it clearly. It was her alone. Gu Yu had only made a move at the very last moment. But at that time, He Sha should have been dead. Li He waited for his men to arrive. He searched the village again and found a fainted child in a villager's house. The child was holding a bloody dagger in his hand. It should be this child who killed the two people. Li He didn't know how to describe his feelings at that moment. That child obviously didn't want to die. Could he blame him? But he had indeed killed his colleague. The people in Chu village were all dead. Only that child was left. There were still many suspicious points about this child, so he was sent back to the headquarters. Li He didn't notice when Chu Yin and Chu Miao disappeared. He only realized that they were gone when he received a call from the captain. "Captain, I'm sorry. I didn't notice, but they shouldn't have gone far. I'll send someone to look for them." Li He lowered his voice, afraid that the person on the other end of the phone would get angry. "Okay." The captain replied. "Is she still there?" "Who?" "Ji Luiying." Li He looked up and scanned the scene. He didn't see that person. He was about to answer when the phone in his hand was suddenly taken away. Li He turned around. His voice seemed to have been cut off. He opened his mouth but couldn't make a sound. Gee. Since when was she standing behind him? Did she not make any sound when she walked? Why was that ghost here too? He was still looking at me. Why did I feel that the surroundings were getting colder? Shi Sheng looked at the caller ID and put the phone to his ear. "Mubai, wash your neck. Wait for I to chop it off." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. "We'll be waiting for you, Miss Shi Sheng." Beep, beep, beep. Only the busy tone remained. Damn it. How dare he hang up on I? City Z. In a European-style villa, a man threw the phone in his hand into the fish tank next to him. Next to the water tank was a piece of white rice paper with the words, Shi Sheng, written on it. The man stared at the two characters for a moment, then picked up a knife and cut the paper in half, cutting the two characters Shi Sheng in half. Buzz. "Mr. Mu." A voice came from the walkie-talkie. Mu Bai's hand that was holding the knife paused in mid-air. His thin lips moved slightly. "You caught him." There was some noise coming from the other side, and it seemed to be very noisy. "Caught it. Buzz. Should I send it to Mr. Mu?" "Send it over." "All right." "Shi Sheng, I don't believe that you'll be so lucky every time." Mu Bai continued to cut the rice paper with a dangerous smile on his face. Splash. The water in the fish tank swayed, and the frequency of the goldfish's tail swaying became slower and slower. After a few seconds, it stopped moving, as if it had been fixed in place. The rice paper on the table shattered into countless pieces, drifting in the air and landing on the water surface. The stillness was broken, and the goldfish slowly floated to the surface with its belly turned white. Shi Sheng and Gu Yu returned to the villa. Gu Yu slowly took off his black robe, revealing a head of silver hair. Probably because of the cap, his hair was a little messy, and there were a few strands of hair on the top of his head. He tilted his head and looked at Shi Sheng. Why did you let Li He go? If she wanted to kill Li He, she would have done it long ago, but she was only threatening him and did not really do it. Killing is against the law. Shi Sheng answered seriously. I'm a good citizen who abides by the law. I don't do things that break the law. Then the person you killed previously. Guiyu paused, and some strange images flashed through his mind. It was too fast for him to capture. Shi Sheng stared at Guiyu. When did I kill anyone? Although I like to insult people, I don't go around killing people. I'm not going to take the blame for this. Guiyu frowned slightly and suppressed the strange feeling just now. The man you threw away. Threw away, Ji Feng? What the hell? How did he know about this? Shi Sheng pulled a long face. I was getting rid of an evil for the people. It's not considered killing anyone. Guiyu. If he had not seen her throwing away the corpse with his own eyes, he would have believed it. Only she would say that killing someone was getting rid of an evil for the people. How did you know about this? Shi Sheng changed the topic. Were you following me? Guiyu blinked innocently. I met you there, so it's not considered following you. Damn it, what was she doing in the wilderness in the middle of the night? What were you doing there? Waiting for you. Guiyu's face had a hint of a smile, and her gaze was fixed on Shi Sheng, full of gentleness. You knew I would appear there? Shi Sheng's frown deepened. She had chosen the place randomly, so how did he know? And he still said that he was not following her. Guiyu thought for a while. I didn't know, but I had a feeling that I should go there, so I went. He took a few steps closer to Shi Sheng and placed one hand on the wall behind her, encircling her in a small space. His voice was slow and gentle. I knew that if I didn't go, I would regret it for the rest of my life, so I went. Guiyu lowered her head, her cheek close to Shi Sheng, and her cold breath enveloped him. I'm very glad that I went. To have met you. Perhaps it was because they had experienced so many worlds together that he had already formed an instinct. Perhaps it was because in this world, the character of the body he was using was not very guarded in this aspect, so he easily followed his inner thoughts. Can I kiss you? What? Shi Sheng looked at Guiyu in confusion. Can I kiss you? Guiyu repeated seriously. Shi Sheng. It was so strange that someone suddenly asked to kiss her so seriously. Which other domineering CEOs didn't F*King do it directly? Did they need to ask for opinions? Only the female lead scenes deserved it. No. Shi Sheng's face darkened as he rejected. Why? Didn't you agree to be with me? Why can't we kiss? Do you not like me? Other people could kiss each other, so why couldn't he? When two people who loved each other were together, they needed to kiss. No reason. I did not have 100,000 whys. Shi Sheng added, it's not that I don't like you. If she said that she did not like him, this idiot would definitely kill her right here and then fly away with her. Why did my wife have such dangerous thoughts? As the saying goes, family members do not enter the same house. Host, your own thoughts are very dangerous, so what right do you have to criticize others? Guiyu pursed her lips and asked softly, then what will it take for you to kiss me? Chapter 906. Why won't you kiss me? Shi Sheng rejected him. She couldn't even bear a hug now. Wouldn't she die if he kissed her? If she died, she could become a ghost, but if she died, she would be sent back directly. I don't want to die. Guiyu was very disappointed. Oh. He took the black robe and walked to the kitchen. He said in a low voice, I'll cook for you. Shi Sheng watched him walk to the kitchen. His eyes changed a few times. Just as his figure was about to disappear at the kitchen door, he called out, Guiyu. Guiyu paused. He didn't turn around. Is there anything you want to eat? Shi Sheng stepped forward. I'm not hungry. Don't cook any more. She took out the watch from her space. "Give me your hand." Only then did Gu Yu raise his head. His gaze swept across the watch in her hand and landed on her face. His expression was a little confused. He rolled up his sleeves and revealed his white wrist. Shi Shang put the watch on him. "This is a token of our love. I won't abandon you. So, don't always try to kill me secretly, okay?" Gu Yu's cheeks flushed. He didn't show any emotions just now. How did she know? The watch on his wrist seemed to still have her temperature. The needle jumped and the water inside swayed. The carved flowers on the bottom were crystal clear, as if they were about to come alive. Gu Yu reached out to touch the surface. It was as smooth as jade. It was very familiar, as if he had touched it countless times. "I don't have anything to give you." Gu Yu put down his hand and said with a serious expression, "I only have myself. Are you willing to take it? This idiot is teasing me again. If I say no, will I be dismembered?" Shi Shang imagined the scene of Gu Yu dismembered himself. He shuddered. It was better not to court death. Yes, yes. After all, this was a little ancestor that he had to worship. It was better not to provoke him. Although he was quite cute when he was angry, it would be terrible if he turned evil. She didn't like that kind of person. When Gu Yu heard the answer she wanted, the corners of her mouth curled up in satisfaction. "You will be with me forever, right?" Shi Shang leaned against the wall behind him. "Will you be with me forever?" Gu Yu didn't hesitate. Yes. He would. "My answer is the same as yours." Shi Shang reached out and twirled a strand of her silver hair. His fingertips brushed across her cheek, and a ripple appeared in his calm eyes. "But you have no way out. I can build an empire for you, but I won't allow you to take a step back." Gu Yu tilted his head, allowing Shi Shang's hand to come closer to him. "You are my escape route." The temperature on Shi Shang's fingertips quickly faded, and the cold seeped into his bones and blood. His fingertips reflexively shivered, and then continued to stick to his face. Her breathing slowed and she raised her head to kiss him. Her pink lips pressed against his and Gu Yu only felt a burst of softness. The girl's fragrance dispelled the cold and clear air on his body, as if there was a warmth transmitted from her lips. However, before he could feel the warmth, the softness on his lips disappeared. Shi Shang was shivering from the cold. "I won't kiss you again." Never. Even if she acted cute, he wouldn't kiss her. Gu Yu's heart skipped a beat. She draped the black robe in her hands over Shi Shang's body, her slightly flushed face full of heartache. Ever since that day, Gu Yu often spaced out, and sometimes even felt shy when she looked at Shi Shang. To be honest, if he didn't know that he didn't do anything to him, Shi Shang would have suspected that he had slept with him at night. But she didn't have the habit of sleepwalking. "Gu Yu, what did you fry?" Shi Shang came in from outside and saw Gu Yu standing in the kitchen in a daze. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he quickly pushed him away to turn off the fire. Gu Yu was pushed by Shi Shang, and only then did he come back to his senses. He first looked at Shi Shang in confusion, then looked at the pot. He was still holding a spatula in his hand. Coupled with his dazed expression, it was comical no matter how one looked at him. "What have you been thinking about these past few days?" Shi Shang looked at the completely inedible food in the pot and said helplessly, "Do ghosts also have menstrual periods?" Gu Yu realized what he had done and lowered his head slightly. "I'm sorry, Shi Shang took the spatula from his hand and threw it into the pot. "What's wrong?" Before Gu Yu could answer, his face turned red. "No, nothing, Shi Shang." He couldn't even speak properly, and he said it was nothing? "Don't tell me." Shi Shang leaned closer to Gu Yu and looked at his eyes with a strange expression. "Ghosts can catch a cold?" Gu Yu shook his head vigorously. "I don't catch a cold." He paused. "What's a cold?" "Shi Shang. You don't even know what it is, and you dare to deny it?" Ghosts couldn't catch a cold, and Gu Yu didn't interact with humans often. Even if he had heard of it, he wouldn't know what it meant. Shi Shang used his index finger to lift his chin. Are you thinking about what happened that day? Gue Yu's gaze wandered. What day? I'm not thinking. Look into my eyes. Gue Yu's gaze continued to wander. Shi Shang's expression became worse, and he finally looked at Shi Shang. I'm thinking. Shi Shang closed in on him. What are you thinking about? Gue Yu could only retreat step by step. In the end, he was forced into a corner by Shi Shang. What are you thinking about? Shi Shang looked at him with a half smile. Nothing. Gue Yu shook his head. Really? Gue Yu hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Shi Shang asked again, his tone more serious. Is it really nothing? Gue Yu shook his head firmly this time. The atmosphere in the room was strangely silent. After a long while, Shi Shang reached out to touch his face. The words that came out of his mouth were unbelievably tough. If you want it, just say it. Why are you so shy? Are you a little girl? Mother ***, he made it sound like I was going to molest him. Gue Yu. He didn't mean it that way. Shi Shang retracted his hand and calmly added, Anyway, I'm not giving it to you. She would be courting death if she slept with him. This plane was really a trap. He couldn't even sleep with his own wife. This feeling of only being able to look but not being able to touch was so **King uncomfortable. What if he wanted to collapse the world? Host, calm down. If this plane collapses, your character value will break through 300,000. Wasn't that just right? What the hell was with letting this baby experience a game with more than 300,000 points? I've already told you so many times, this isn't a game. Master, come back quickly. This host is always thinking of collapsing the plane and decreasing character value. I just want to kiss you. He really didn't think of anything else. Gue Yu felt that she was very innocent and had to explain herself. Shi Shang's thoughts of collapsing the plane were suppressed by Gue Yu's words. She glanced at Gue Yu's faintly expectant gaze and said coldly, No. Gue Yu. I knew she would be rejected. She wasn't willing to touch me most of the time. Little fairy. What does it feel like to be able to see but not be able to touch? Shi Shang, cold face. It's like you know they have votes in their hands, but they just won't vote for you. Little fairy. I'm actually speechless. Hurry up and vote to comfort me. Chapter 907. The spirit energy in this world was quite abundant. Shi Shang had been cultivating, but after such a long time, he could only withstand Gue Yu's touch. And this was under the condition that Gue Yu could control herself. As soon as he lost control of his emotions, she would be frozen into an ice cube. Don't ask her why she knew. She didn't want to say that she had been frozen before. She didn't remember what she said that day, but Gue Yu suddenly lost control. What was even scarier was that she happened to be holding his hand at that time. So, because of this, she lay in bed for 3 whole days. She had to think of a way. She couldn't live with him like this for the rest of her life, right? Shi Shang lay in bed and searched his brain for information. Was there a way for her to withstand the cold energy in Gue Yu's body? The simplest way was to disable Gue Yu. This method was too scary. She could only think about it, but forget about putting it into practice. The second, easier method was for her to cultivate diligently. When she reached a certain level of strength, she would be able to withstand it. But in the end, she would be able to withstand it. Her lifespan wouldn't be too long. The third method. Find a body for Gue Yu. This method was more feasible, but Shi Shang felt that he might not be able to accept it. So, after thinking about it, Shi Shang still felt that it was better to cultivate diligently. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. Shi Shang, who had never been passionate about cultivation, began to indulge in it. Gue Yu only came in every day when Shi Shang was resting. Ji Luiying, Ji Luiying, Ji Luiying. Intermittent shouts sounded from outside the villa. Shi Shang slowly opened his eyes, his temples throbbing with pain. This female lead was going to cause trouble again. Ji Luiying. Ji Luiying, come out. Shi Shang got out of bed and walked to the window. He lifted the curtains and looked outside, just in time to see Gue Yu send Chu Miao flying. Gue Yu's strength was definitely enough to kill Chu Miao, but Chu Miao only turned her body at the last moment. Most of the attack didn't land on her body. This was the female lead's charm. No one could compare to it. Shi Shang directly opened the window and jumped down. Before Gue Yu could attack a second time, he appeared in his line of sight. I can handle it. I won't let her disturb you, Gue Yu said. Shi Shang waved his hand. Gue Yu pursed her lips and no longer spoke, retreating to the side. Why are you looking for me? Shi Shang looked at Chu Miao on the ground. Chu Miao stood up and rushed to Shi Shang. Where's my brother? Where did you take my brother? What do you mean by your brother? Shi Shang was dumbfounded and shouted angrily. Why would I catch your brother? It's not you? If not, why is this in my brother's room? Chu Miao threw an envelope at her. Shi Shang took the envelope and opened it to take a look. It was a kidnapping and extortion letter, and the last signature was Ji Luiying's. Shi Shang, wasn't this framing a little too obvious? I didn't kidnap your brother. Believe it or not. Shi Shang stuffed the letter back into Chu Miao's hands. Don't cause trouble here. I can tolerate you once, but I won't tolerate you a second time. Don't think you have a lot of face. If it weren't for the fact that you're so stupid that you can't be saved, I would have killed you long ago. It's quite pitiful for the female lead to survive in this way. When Chu Miao heard Shi Shang's words, she didn't know why, but she breathed a sigh of relief. She probably didn't know that deep down, she believed her. She just wanted to confirm it with her own mouth. My brother is missing. Chu Miao suddenly paused and started crying without warning. Your brother is missing. Why are you crying here at Ai's place? Chu Miao didn't listen to Shi Shang at all. She kept crying until she couldn't catch her breath. If it was at night and someone heard her crying, they would definitely think it was a ghost. Shi Shang wasn't in the mood to listen to Chu Miao cry. He took Gue Yu directly into the villa and closed the door. Chu Miao didn't know how long she had been crying outside. When Gue Yu brought her dinner that night, she said that she had already left. Why don't you let me kill her? Do you care about her that much? Gue Yu said with dissatisfaction. Where did this jealousy come from? When did this baby care about the female lead? Do you think you can kill her? Damn, you're an idiot. Is the female lead someone you can kill just because you want to? She's very weak. Gue Yu meant that it would be very easy for him to kill her. Shi Shang sat up straight. But you attacked her twice and she was fine. Don't tell me you were merciful? I didn't. He killed her both times. She was just lucky. Although luck was also a person's capital, one couldn't always rely on luck. Strength was the king. Her luck is much better than you think. If you don't believe me, you can try next time. As long as the female lead's halo didn't disappear, her luck would always be better than ordinary people's and she would almost never die. The law of immortality was no joke. She could even save you in one breath. At this time, Chu Miao, the female lead, had no idea that she had been sold to Gue Yu as a test subject by Shi Shang. The next day, Chu Miao came to find Shi Shang again. Before she could shout, she was attacked by Gue Yu. Just as Shi Shang said, Chu Miao's luck was like the heavens. A main character's luck that collapsed was already amazing, let alone a female lead that hadn't collapsed. Chu Miao wanted to cry. Who did she offend? Ji Luiying, can you control your man? Chu Miao shouted at the top of her lungs. She probably felt that her words weren't appropriate and immediately changed them. Male ghost. This bastard wasn't human at all. Shi Shang leaned on the windowsill and looked down at Chu Miao. What are you doing here again? Do you think this is your back garden? If you have nothing to do, you come visit. Chu Miao scurried under the window and looked at Gue Yu standing in the courtyard. Seeing that he didn't move, she said, Do you think I wanted to come? See for yourself. Guiyu threw another letter at her. I received this morning. It says that if you don't go, my brother will die. Chu Miao gritted her teeth. Why did your enemy kidnap my brother to threaten you? The contents of the letter were similar to what Chu Miao had said. It asked Chu Miao to lead her to a place and then let her brother go. Why are you showing it to me? This letter was clearly written for her, asking her to design a way to bring her there. Why was there always an idiot who wanted to harm her through the female lead? If you have the ability, do it directly. What's the point of doing things behind her back? Don't you think you don't have enough brains? Do you think that other people's brains are the same as yours? That they're just for decoration? Shi Shang, even if this baby's brain was just for decoration, it was still a diamond-studded decoration. No, the idiot system was getting more and more cocky. You even dared to talk back to I. Do you believe that I won't tear you apart when I get back? Log off, log off, log off. This system isn't here. Hashtag my host is always oppressing me hashtag. Chapter 908. I can't lie to you. Chu Miao told the truth. It was better to suck up to her than to lie to her. You're quite self-aware. Chu Miao was speechless. Don't you know how to be humble? Even a ghost like me knows how to be humble. Shi Shang never knew how to write the word humble. When did your brother go missing? Chu Miao was silent for a while. I don't know. She was locked up by Chu Yinin and couldn't go out. A few days ago, Chu Yinin suddenly disappeared, so she took the opportunity to run out. She wanted to see Chu Jing, but when she got home, she didn't see Chu Jing. Instead, she saw the letter on the coffee table in the living room. Oh, maybe your brother has been killed. Shi Shang slapped the letter on the windowsill. No, he won't. Chu Miao opened the letter and pointed at the bottom. The kidnapper said that he won't let my brother die if you don't go. Chu Miao paused. I know I don't have the right to beg you, but I still want to ask you. I can't watch my brother die. Shi Shang looked calm. You can close your eyes. Chu Miao almost couldn't breathe. She was still in the mood to joke at this time. All right. She had never been nervous before. That confident, arrogant, and scheming look of hers really made people jealous sometimes. It made people want to see her panicked look. Shi Shang obviously didn't want to go. No matter who wrote a letter to threaten her, she would be exhausted to death if she had to go there obediently. After all, she had so many enemies that they could circle the earth if they held hands. This person came for you. You should be responsible. Chu Miao's little face was serious. You can't let an innocent person pay for you. Shi Shang tilted his head. Huh? You should talk to the kidnapper. What does it have to do with me? I didn't kidnap him. I'm a victim too. Chu Miao was speechless. She almost believed you when you talked nonsense with such a serious face. Chu Miao took a deep breath, stepped back, and knelt on the ground. Ji Luiying, I'm begging you. Shi Shang quickly moved aside. He couldn't accept the female lead's kneeling. Just look at the people that the female lead kneeled to. Which villain didn't die miserably? It's useless even if you beg me. This is clearly a trap. I'm not going. F***ck, only an idiot would go. What will it take for you to go? Chu Miao clenched her teeth. As long as you go, even if it takes my life, it's fine. How much is your life worth? Not going, not going, not going. Someone wants to harm I, so I won't go. Ji Luiying, I beg you. Chu Miao knelt on the ground and kowtowed. She couldn't watch her brother die. She went to the place mentioned in the letter, but there was nothing there. She couldn't find her brother at all. I beg you. Chu Miao's voice gradually choked with sobs. However, no matter what Chu Miao said, Shi Shang refused to go. Chu Miao left in a daze. It was impossible for her not to blame Shi Shang in her heart. They should be here soon. Beep. Beep. Sirens sounded from all directions. The kidnappers didn't have time to react before they were caught by the police. The girl who was standing not far away was nowhere to be seen. It was as if she had never been there. The kidnappers. What happened? Why were we caught? Where was the girl? Shi Shang stood at the top of the factory and watched the kidnappers being taken away by the police. There were fewer and fewer cars around, and finally, peace was restored. "Didn't you say you weren't coming?" Guiyu asked, puzzled. She was determined not to come, but she changed her mind while he was cooking. The internet said that women were fickle, and it was true. "There's a retard plotting against me behind my back. I have to come and pay my respects." Which retard is so daring? She actually went to the female lead's side to threaten him. She was really stupid beyond belief. And they didn't kidnap the female lead. What was the use of kidnapping the female lead's family and friends? The most useful method was to kidnap Guiyu. With your villa's 3 floors and 3 floors outside, who would be able to enter? If they could get in, why would they be kidnappers? They could just go to heaven. Guiyu didn't quite understand her wife's train of thought. "Then do you know who it is?" "I don't know." This cowardly behavior was a bit like Mu Bai's. But this stupid kidnapper didn't seem like Mu Bai's methods. Shi Shang touched his chin and muttered, "Why do I feel like the whole world wants to be my enemy?" "Then I'll be your enemy." #hashtag today. Please vote for Nongfu Spring. #Nongfu Spring is a bit sweet. When it's time to vote, vote. 2017. 01. 16 Cherub, a nuo greater than 2017. 01. 17 Cherub, Qingxing, the 2 cherub mentioned above haven't come to me to receive their awards. Chapter 909. The police didn't get any useful information from the kidnappers. The number used to contact them was from a dead person's ID card. All the transactions were in cash and the kidnappers went to a designated location to collect the money. Chu Jing was fine and went home after a few days in the hospital. As for why he was kidnapped, Chu Jing was confused. The kidnappers just kidnapped him and didn't do anything. Chu Miao was relieved when she knew that her brother was safe. At the same time, she felt strange. How did the police find the kidnappers' hiding place so quickly? The police only had an anonymous phone number and nothing else, so Chu Miao didn't know who called the police. Shi Shang was very busy recently and didn't have time to talk to Guiyu. Guiyu rarely appeared in front of Shi Shang. It was as if he deliberately left her some space so that she could focus on her own things. However, Shi Shang received messages from the bank from time to time about all kinds of credit card swipes. Guiyu, that wastrel, only knew how to squander her family. Who could afford to support such a wastrel? Ding! A pop-up box suddenly popped up on the computer screen. Shi Shang put down his phone and slid his chair in front of the computer. He quickly scanned the pop-up box and his fingers jumped quickly on the keyboard. Shi Shang stared at the screen. After a few minutes, the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. "Found you." Shi Shang quickly went out. Guiyu didn't seem to be around. She called out twice and when there was no response, she walked out of the villa. Shi Shang saw Chu Miao standing outside the door. Seeing her come out, he immediately straightened up. "Ji Luing." Shi Shang closed the door and strode out, ignoring Chu Miao. "Ji Luing, wait." Chu Miao stopped Shi Shang. Shi Shang walked past her and quickly disappeared from Chu Miao's line of sight. After leaving Chu Miao's line of sight, Shi Shang used the iron sword to fly across half of City Z and arrived at the edge of City Z. The area was being planned for development. The local residents had already moved away and there was no one around. Some houses were torn down and all kinds of rubbish were piled up on the ground. A pungent smell filled the air. Shi Shang followed the red on his phone and went straight to a house. The house was still relatively intact. There were people guarding outside, but there was no light inside. It seemed like there was no one inside. Shi Shang got rid of the 2 gatekeepers and broke in directly. The loud noise alarmed the people around and they quickly gathered around the gate. When Mu Bai received the news, he felt terrible. Why is she haunting me like a ghost? Like a haunting ghost, not dispersing. Disperse. If a woman was so awesome, how could he live as a man? This gentleman refuses to accept this. Someone called out to him, Mr. Mu? Continue. Mu Bai gritted his teeth. Yes. Mu Bai tugged at his clothes, took a deep breath, and left the basement. It was very quiet upstairs. Mu Bai pushed open the old door, and the creaking sound could be heard from afar. There was a strong smell of blood in the air. His men should all be dead. Should he run or run now? Just as Mu Bai was thinking about whether or not he could escape, he suddenly felt a chill behind him. His body fell forward uncontrollably as something cold penetrated his body. Mu Bai steadied himself and lowered his head to look at the hole in his abdomen. She actually dared to make a move. Wasn't she afraid of killing the wrong person? Poochie. Another sword pierced into his body. Mu Bai was barely able to stabilize himself. He struggled to turn his head to look at the person behind him. Shi Shang was pulling the iron sword out of his body. There was a strange smile on his face, and his eyes were as calm as still water. You don't have anything to ask? He did not expect her to make a move directly. All right, she had always been unpredictable. There were many things that he did not expect. Anyway, it's all nonsense. In the end, I still had to guess them one by one. Mu Bai. When Mu Bai saw that Shi Shang was coming over, he immediately gave himself an injection. In an instant, he stopped breathing. If he wanted to die, he could only die by his own hands. He could not die by anyone else's hands. What the hell? How could you still commit suicide? My Mu Bai, you're amazing. Mu Bai must be up to something. Shi Shang went down to the basement. The first thing he saw was some strange equipment with some data displayed on it. A few people were busy. Hearing the noise, one of them turned around and saw an unfamiliar girl coming down the ladder. He shouted, "Who are you?" His voice alerted the others. Everyone looked at Shi Sheng. Someone recognized Shi Sheng. It's the intruder. Where's Mr. Mu? They quickly switched to the surveillance camera. When they saw the scene outside, there was a strange silence. Mr. Mu was dead. Don't kill me. Someone raised his hands in surrender. The others followed suit and raised their hands in front of their chest. Shi Shang's gaze swept across them and fell on the center of the equipment. In a glass cabinet, a man's figure was faintly discernible. Li Chengyun was not dead? F***CK. What was that idiot Mu Bai trying to do? It's good that he's not dead. Maybe I can kill him with one more stab. Shi Shang raised his sword and wanted to cut the glass. The tip of his sword almost touched the glass. She paused and looked at the people. You guys, make him disappear. I'll let you go. Make him disappear. What did she mean? Disappear completely. Shi Shang had been away from the villa for a long time. She pushed the door open and entered the villa. A gust of cold air rushed out of the house. The entire room was covered in ice. It was as if she had entered a world of ice and snow. A figure came over with the cold wind and pulled her into his arms. The cold air rushed into her body without any explanation, and the speed of her blood flow instantly slowed down. It's so cold. Shi Shang squeezed out a few words with difficulty. Gu Yu was startled. He let go of Shi Shang. The ice in the room disappeared quickly. He looked at Shi Shang pitifully. I thought you didn't want me anymore. Don't want your ass. So you want I to freeze to death? Shi Shang took a deep breath. I left you a note. Didn't you see it? Gu Yu shook his head in confusion. He realized that Shi Shang was gone. He didn't even check if there was anything in the room. He didn't know that Shi Shang had left something for him. Where did you go? Damn it. If you didn't run around, I wouldn't have told you. I had something to deal with in the underworld. Gu Yu said, I wanted to tell you, but I saw that you were busy. I thought it wouldn't take long, so... Shi Shang realized that ever since that time, Gu Yu would always leave. Although he said that he had something to deal with, Shi Shang felt that something was wrong. Especially when he came back every time, he felt especially weak. Shi Shang felt that something was wrong with Gu Yu. One time when he came back from a trip, he pressed him down on the sofa. "What are you doing?" Gu Yu blinked and looked at Shi Shang innocently. "I didn't." Shi Shang placed his palm on Gu Yu's chest. "If you dare to lie, don't even think about seeing me in this world. Don't doubt me. I have that ability." Chapter 9-10. Gu Yu's expression changed slightly, but he still bit his lip and shook his head. "I didn't." Shi Shang released his hand and got off him. "Gu Yu, you chose this yourself." Gu Yu panicked and reached out to grab Shi Shang's shirt. "I said don't go." Shi Shang glanced at him, brushed his hand away and sat beside him. "Speak." Gu Yu sat on the sofa like a little wife and looked at the floor with his head lowered. After a while he said, I transferred my power to someone else." "What did you say?" Shi Shang grabbed his hand and raised his voice. "Who allowed you to do this?" Gu Yu lowered his head and didn't speak. If he didn't do this, he would never be able to touch her. He didn't regret it at all. Gu Yu took a deep breath and tilted his head. "There's no turning back. Will you protect me in the future?" "Protect your ass." Shi Shang threw a pillow at him angrily. "But if you don't protect me, I might die." Gu Yu looked at Shi Shang pitifully. Shi Shang sneered. "Ha! Then he might as well die. Damn idiot, taking matters into his own hands." Gu Yu was a little nervous. He guessed that she would be angry, but he didn't expect her to be this angry. Shi Shang pointed at him and didn't speak for a while. Finally, he dropped his hand. Gu Yu immediately went forward and hugged his waist. "See, I won't make you suffer now." Shi Shang's heart throbbed slightly. She slowly raised her hand and ran her fingers through his soft silver hair. She sighed in her heart. He really owed it to him. "Gu Yu." Shi Shang came down from the second floor and threw a few cards in front of Gu Yu. She shouted angrily, "You touched my LZ cards again?" Gu Yu nodded matter-of-factly. "Yeah. Did you ignore what I told you last time?" Shi Shang was so angry that his head hurt. Gu Yu tilted his head and said innocently, "I didn't touch your card." Shi Shang. "Very good, you've learned how to take advantage of loopholes. You're so awesome. Aren't you earning money for me to spend?" Gu Yu continued, "You said that you would support me." Poof. Shi Shang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. She did say that, but how could she afford to support him if he spent so much money? They ate dirt every day. What did you buy? With so much money, did he buy the universe? I put them in your room. Her room. Shi Shang thought about the junk that appeared in his room from time to time. He didn't want to talk to this idiot at all. "I've already spent it, don't be angry." Gu Yu tugged at her, her expression serious. "I can repay you with my body." Flesh. Flesh for compensation? Shi Shang reached out and lifted his chin. "Didn't you say you didn't want it last time?" "What? How long has it been and you've changed your mind?" "Last time." Gu Yu's face flushed red. "I didn't have any experience last time." "Oh. Are you experienced this time?" Gu Yu shook her head vigorously. No. Go upstairs." "Oh." Gu Yu stood up from the sofa with a red face and nervously walked upstairs. After a few steps, she paused. "If I repay you with my body, does that mean I can spend your money as I please?" Shi Shang. What kind of joke was that? What happened to being thrifty and diligent? Bad review. Shi Shang laughed eerily. "Let's see if you can serve her well." Gu Yu turned her head, a faint smile slowly appearing on her face. Not long after, Shi Shang found out that Chu Miao had been resurrected. Her body was found in a hospital. Chu Yin was anxious to find Chu Miao because she needed her to take over her responsibility of guarding the enchantment of Chu village. But now that He Sha was dead, Chu Miao didn't need to do this anymore. But Chu Miao still couldn't forgive Chu Yinin because she and Li Changyun had treated her so badly. Chu Yinin probably knew that she wouldn't be forgiven, so she tried everything to find Chu Miao's body and bring her back to life. But why was she sent to the hospital in the first place? It was still a mystery. After returning to life, Chu Miao went to find Shi Shang once, but Shi Shang didn't see her. Chu Miao muttered outside for a while before leaving. After that, Shi Shang never heard from her again. Shi Shang didn't return to the system space until Gue Yu left this world. The system space was as quiet as ever. The system didn't even say anything and directly showed him his information. Name, Shi Shang morality points, 290000 health points, 40 contribution points, 53,000 mission grade, a mission points, 92 side mission, completed side mission reward, 5,000 contribution points item list, Queen's Crown, Ghost King's Heart, Dark Knight, Kirin Blood. Why did my morality points increase again? Did I do something to save the world? I've never seen a host who wanted to reduce morality points so much. Well, I only have one host. Although the system was reluctant, it still explained. The host killed He Sha and indirectly saved many people. The following merits will be counted on you. F*CK, I shouldn't have killed it. This kind of host should be destroyed humanely. It's a disaster if it's alive. Next world. The system couldn't wait for Shi Shang to leave the system space and immediately started the transmission. Transmission begins. Shi Shang's figure disappeared from the system space. Just as the system heaved a sigh of relief, the information screen suddenly flashed, and countless messy letters appeared on the screen. The system was shocked. Master. No one responded, and the letters continued to jump on the screen. After a few minutes, the screen flashed and went black. The next second, a blurry figure appeared on the screen. Master. The system's voice seemed to be tinged with surprise. The master was finally online. Host, your end is coming. How is she? Probably because of the instability, the man's voice was intermittent and not very clear. The host has always treated these worlds as games. Other than Feng Ci, I don't think she cares about anyone else. She even hacked into the system and got some rights. The system immediately began to complain. The person on the other side didn't know what to do, and only spoke after a long time. Are there any other changes? Someone came in and is always targeting the host. The host said his name is Mu Bai, but I don't have this person in my database, and there's no way to clear or scan him. Mu Bai. Yes. Do you know him, Master? No, I don't. Master doesn't even know him? Then what's with this virus? The screen flashed unsteadily, and the blurry figure became even more blurred. The channel hasn't stabilized yet, I'll restore it as soon as possible. The voice stopped abruptly. Master. Hey, Master? I haven't finished speaking yet. Why did you disappear again? The system tried to contact its master, but there was no news. There was no way to contact it. So, it was still a left-behind child? Asterisk, the 27th world ended. I don't want to talk, let me be alone. Chapter 9:11. Everyone knew that the Princess Royal was plotting something against the Prime Minister. Asterisk clang, the sound of weapons clashing was like a symphony, and the air was full of killing intent. Shi Shang was jolted awake. In a very narrow space, Shi Shang quickly scanned her body and surroundings. Ancient costume, horse carriage. This was an ancient plane. The horse carriage was running wildly, and the ground was probably very uneven. She almost couldn't stabilize herself. Crack. There was a crisp sound from the bottom of the horse carriage, and then Shi Shang felt herself falling. The curtains were sucked out of the window, revealing the scenery outside. The rocks outside kept moving upwards. Cold wind poured in from outside, cutting her face like a knife. Shi Shang. This timeline was 2F*King bad, falling off a cliff as soon as she arrived. Would she meet the old grandpa again? Get the mysterious inheritance? Go back and slap the face? Bah, this was the treatment of a female lead. How could a cannon fodder like her have such treatment? Shi Shang kicked open the door and jumped down. Iron Sword caught her from below. The horse carriage fell to the rocks at the bottom and smashed into pieces. If she had fallen like that, she would have been disfigured even if she didn't die. Just thinking about it was scary. Shi Shang landed on the ground and felt a sharp pain in her back. She touched her back, and it was covered in blood. She guessed that she had been injured before she arrived. Shi Shang was afraid that she would die from excessive blood loss, so she quickly found a place to stop the bleeding. The wound was in the back, and it was difficult to bandage. It took a long time to finish. She wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. Accept the plot. This was an ancient CEO story about the overbearing prince falling in love with me. The original owner, Duanmu Ning, was the Princess Royal of Jin, and was doted on by everyone. Her mother was the late empress, and was the emperor's favorite when he was young. Because the empress passed away early, the empress was still the emperor's favorite. He naturally doted on the empress's only child. The original owner was born in a good family, had a high status, and was doted on. She had a little temper, and everyone in the imperial city knew that they couldn't offend her, so they put her on a pedestal. When she reached marriageable age, the original owner didn't care about the young men who surrounded her and flattered her, and the emperor let her be. When Lin Junwang Duanmu Qi returned to Jing, the previous host took a liking to this Lin Junwang. Duanmu Qi was the stepson of the current emperor's younger sister. His father married into the princess residence, so Duanmu Qi changed his surname to Duanmu. At that time, it was considered an honor. Duanmu was the royal surname. Other than the royal family, no one else was allowed to use it. It wasn't a big deal that the host liked Duanmu Qi since they weren't related by blood. Unfortunately, this was the male lead Darren. The male lead Darren is naturally a match for the female lead Darren. You cannon fodder actually dared to covet the male lead. Isn't this looking for abuse? The female lead, Yen Jin Xiu, was Duanmu Qi's arranged marriage from a young age. Duanmu Qi had returned to the capital to dissolve this marriage. However, when Duanmu Qi met the female lead, he realized that his fiancée was different from what he had imagined. Duanmu Qi gradually fell in love with the female lead. When the male lead and female lead's relationship heated up, the cannon fodder, the original host, naturally jumped out to add oil to the fire. She originally wanted to make the male lead look at her in a different light, but in the end, the female lead benefited every time. In the end, even the emperor, who loved her dearly, was disappointed in her and married her off to another country. Not long after the original host married, she died of depression. The original host's last wish was a bit strange. She actually wanted to become the most noble woman in the world. Did she want to conquer the world? This wish was possible. It was very grand. Another wish was to destroy the country she married into. The original host didn't have a good time there. It could be said that she was abused. It was normal to have such a wish. The time she came over was a turning point for the original host to target the female lead. The Blessing Festival was a tradition of the Jin country. Every year at this time, the emperor would send the princes and princesses to Shangqing Temple to pray for the country. In the beginning, only the members of the royal family could go. Later, when the children of the ministers were selected, they could also go. If the children of the ministers were lucky enough to go, it was something worth bragging about in the court. So every year, many people fought over this quota. The original host wasn't married and was the eldest princess. On the female side, she was the leader every year. Who knew that Yen Jin Xiu would also go this year? This matter was personally ordered by the emperor and the original host had no choice but to object. Nothing happened on the way there. But when she came back, she met an assassin. The assassin seemed to come for the original host, the eldest princess, but in fact, he came for the female lead. At the critical moment, the female lead said that she wanted to change clothes with the original host and let the original host leave first. The original host thought that the female lead wanted to protect her and was touched for a moment. She felt that the female lead wasn't as bad as she thought. But after the two changed clothes, the assassin still chased her and forced her carriage to the bottom of the cliff. The original host was found 3 days later. Her appearance was disfigured. Although it wasn't serious in the end, the original host fell ill. Her body was weak and she needed to take medicine every day. However, during this incident, the female lead risked her life to find the eldest princess and received the emperor's commendation. But at the last moment, the original host heard what the assassin said. They didn't come for her. Yan Jin Xiu suddenly changed clothes with her. At this time, the original host thought that it was intentional. Because of this, the original host started to argue with the emperor, which laid the foundation for the original host's marriage. Shi Shang sorted out the plot and looked up at the cliff. Was she waiting for someone to save her? Or should she go back on her own? Shi Shang put her hands on her waist and thought. She should wait for someone to save her. As a princess, she should have the dignity of a princess. How could she climb back on her own? Shi Shang took out a few useful things from the broken carriage and found a place to rest. She had to change places tomorrow to avoid being found by the female lead and let her complete her achievement. The temperature at the bottom of the cliff was much lower at night. Fortunately, she pulled out the quilt from the carriage and made do with it. The next day, Shi Shang walked along a small stream at the bottom of the cliff. It was a deserted road. Shi Shang walked and stopped. She felt a burning pain on her back. The wound must have split open. Shi Shang rested on a rock beside her for a while. Suddenly, a voice came from the front. "Miss, why are we looking for the eldest princess? Don't we have the imperial guards? Who said I was looking for her?" This voice was cold and clear. It had a different charm. It was a bit different from the Yan Jin Xiu in the original host's memory. Meeting the female lead? I have a date with the female lead. Shi Shang carefully moved into the space between two rocks, using the rocks to block her figure. Ah! If we're not looking for the eldest princess, then why did we come down? This is the wilderness. What if we meet a wild beast? I'm here, what are you afraid of? But miss. Alright, if you keep talking like this, I won't bring you next time. Yan Jin Hua cut her off. The voice didn't dare refute. The footsteps passed by the rocks and gradually went away. Votes. 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 Requesting monthly votes. Votes, votes, votes. Chapter 9:12. Shi Shang came out from behind the rock and looked at the figure that was about to be drowned by the weeds. He thought for a moment and followed Yan Jinxiu. Yan Jinxiu seemed to be looking for something here. She walked and stopped, constantly changing her position. Shi Shang used an invisibility talisman and swaggered behind her. From time to time, he would make a sound. Yan Jinxiu's servant girl was always on guard. Yan Jinxiu was probably a little annoyed by the servant girl's state. "Xiao He, can't you calm down? Miss, there's always a sound behind us." Xiao He kept looking back, but there was nothing behind them. Yan Jinxiu also looked back. There were only traces of their footsteps. There was no one, and she didn't feel anyone's breath. It's inevitable that there are some small animals in the forest. Don't be so nervous. Relax. Yan Jinxiu comforted Xiao He. Xiao He nodded. Shi Shang deliberately kicked the weeds next to him. The rustling sound immediately sounded in the forest. Miss, did you see it? Xiao He asked Yan Jinxiu with a pale face. Yan Jinxiu's expression froze. She stared at the weeds that had not stopped swaying. She drew a soft sword from her waist and walked over. Miss. Yan Jinxiu waved at her, motioning for her not to make a sound. She carefully walked to the weeds and used the soft sword to pull them apart. There was nothing but wet soil. The wind blew through the branches, and the sound of insects and birds was clear and pleasant. Yan Jinxiu looked around vigilantly. She glanced at the swaying weeds again and turned around. Let's go. There's nothing here. Shi Shang followed behind and made some noise from time to time. Yan Jinxiu was not sure if anyone was following her. Shi Shang did not do too much. After a few times, he stopped making trouble and quietly followed behind her. Yan Jinxiu had a map in her hand. She found a cave according to the map, and this place, if she climbed over, would be the place where her carriage fell. "Wait for me outside." Yan Jinxiu put away the map and ordered Xiao He. Xiao He was a little scared. "Miss." She felt so scared here alone. Yan Jinxiu handed the soft sword to Xiao He. "I'll be out soon." Shi Shang followed Yan Jinxiu into the cave. Perhaps no one had entered the cave for many years. It was full of spider webs and some strange plants. Rats, ants, snakes, and insects could be seen from time to time. The cave had many twists and turns, and there were many branches. Yan Jinxiu stopped to check the map from time to time. After walking for half an hour, she finally entered a larger space. When Yan Jinxiu was checking the cave, she stepped on something. With a gotcha sound, countless arrows were shot towards her. She rolled on the ground and stuck close to the corner of the cave, waiting for the arrow in the mechanism to finish shooting. Shi Shang glanced around, picked up a few stones, and threw them at a few places that seemed to be booby traps. Suddenly, all the traps in the cave were triggered. All kinds of traps appeared. Yan Jinxiu's corner was not spared. It was too late for her to retreat. She could only rely on herself to dodge those traps. Shi Shang leaned against the cave outside and watched the female protagonist show off her martial arts skills. This female lead, who appeared ordinary in front of everyone, was actually an expert. Even with so many mechanisms, she only received a few scratches. This was the so-called pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Yan Jinxiu was very confused. She didn't trigger so many traps just now. How could all the traps be activated at the same time? Finally, the traps stopped. Yan Jinxiu leaned against the rock in the corner and gasped for breath. After resting for a while, Yan Jinxiu walked to the middle of the cave. She groped on the ground and pulled out an iron chain. She looked happy and got up to pull the iron chain. Shi Shang felt a vibration under the ground. It was the sound of the iron chain and the gears rubbing against each other. As Yan Jinxiu pulled, the rock on the left suddenly began to move, revealing a larger space. The first thing she saw was the pile of gold in the middle. It was as high as a small hill. Yan Jinxiu released the iron chain and entered. She didn't look at the gold. Instead, she went straight to the mural behind the gold mountain. There were many people in different postures on the mural. There were also words beside them. This should be a set of swordsmanship and mental cultivation method. Did the female protagonist come here for this? Yan Jinxiu quickly looked at the mural. She probably remembered it in her heart. Then, she looked for something to destroy some key points. Shi Shang silently watched Yan Jinxiu's actions. After she destroyed the mural, she retreated and pulled the iron chain again. The rock moved and closed. Yan Jinxiu quickly left the cave. Shi Shang waited for a while. When Yan Jinxiu was almost out of the cave, he went to pull the iron chain. The wealth here was not limited to the gold mountain. The space was very big. There were all kinds of gold, silver, and jewelry. She didn't know who had looted here. Shi Shang put everything into the space and left the cave. Yan Jinxiu was no longer outside. She turned to the side and looked. Yan Jinxiu and Xiao He were standing by the carriage's corpse. They were far away. Shi Shang didn't know what they were talking about. At this moment, the sound of fighting came from afar. A few figures shot out of the forest. There was a murderous aura. There was only one person being chased. If Shi Shang wasn't wrong, that person should be the male protagonist, Duan Muki. He was 1.8 meters tall and wore a black brocade robe embroidered with dark patterns. It shone brightly as it swayed. He held a sharp sword in his hand. When he waved it, there seemed to be a tangible air current. It surged towards the person opposite him. He would definitely kill the person in one hit. He was like a killing god on the battlefield. Just one look was enough to make people tremble from the bottom of their hearts. He was indeed a domineering prince. Shi Shang found a place to sit down. He ate melon seeds and watched the male protagonist torture the assassins. Shi Shang thought that the male protagonist would be injured in the end and be saved by the female protagonist. But until the end, it was the male protagonist who tortured the group of assassins. So the male protagonist was just showing off his strength in front of the female protagonist? Miss Yen, why are you here? Duan Muki's sharp gaze swept towards Yen Jinxiu. Yen Jinxiu's expression now looked a little weak. Her face was pale, as if she had been frightened by what had just happened. Greetings, Royal Prince. The Princess Royal was assassinated and her carriage fell off the cliff. I split up with everyone to look for her. We found the Princess Royal's carriage here, but we couldn't find the Princess Royal. Duan Muki already knew about Yen Jinxiu's little tricks. He found it funny that she was pretending to be harmless in front of him. He said ambiguously, "Is that so?" Yen Jinxiu felt that she hated Duan Muki. Because she felt that in front of Duan Muki, her disguise was useless. Yes. Yen Jinxiu lowered her head. Her long hair fell down and blocked her view. With the Imperial Guards here, why did Miss Yen come down personally? Duan Muki seemed to want to tear apart Yen Jinxiu's disguise. Yen Jinxiu cursed silently. She didn't dare to change her expression. The Princess Royal is missing. His Majesty will definitely be furious. How can the people accompanying her leave safely? Chapter 913. You're smart. Duan Mu Qi sneered. Yen Jinxiu didn't know what he meant and didn't dare to talk. She pursed her lips and didn't say anything. There was a strange silence. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The sound of air being pierced rang out as countless arrows pierced through the forest and shot towards them. Yen Jinxiu instinctively wanted to use her martial arts, but she saw Duan Mu Qi from the corner of her eyes. She paused and grabbed the scared Xiao He and rolled towards the ground. A black-clothed assassin came out of the forest and attacked Duan Mu Qi. He looked like he wanted to kill Duan Mu Qi. Duan Mu Qi was alone and there were people shooting at him from time to time. He was careless and got shot in the heart. The arrow might have been poisoned. Duan Mu Qi staggered and managed to block an assassin's attack. However, he couldn't block the attack of the assassin behind him. His back was slashed again. Shi Shang couldn't bear to look at it. It was so tragic. Was the pretentious act from before so that he could be abused now? She didn't understand these people. They had just fought and didn't even know if there were any enemies behind them. How could they stand on the battlefield and talk about all kinds of injuries? Yen Jinxiu crawled on the ground and didn't make a move until Duan Mu Qi couldn't take it anymore. She said to Xiao He, "When I move later, run, okay? Don't look behind you. Run as far as you can." "Miss, what about you?" "Don't worry, I'll be fine. Just protect yourself and don't drag me down." Yen Jinxiu spoke quickly. "Run." Xiao He immediately got up and ran in the opposite direction. Yen Jinxiu got up at the same time and rushed into the group of assassins. She saved Duan Mu Qi and brought him into the forest. The assassins chased after her and it quickly quieted down. Shi Shang finished eating the last melon seed and his eyes turned. If she followed them now, would she be able to kill the female lead? "Host, your mission isn't to kill the female lead. I can provide additional services for free. I don't want to talk. I want to be alone." King retarded host. Something seemed wrong. Shi Shang didn't chase after Yen Jinxiu. He followed the path back and met the Imperial Guards who were looking for her. "Greetings, Your Highness." Shi Shang waved his hand and said weakly, "Bring me some food." The wound on his back was itchy and uncomfortable. Quick, water." The leader of the Imperial Guards called out to the people behind him. After the Shi Shang finished drinking and eating, the Imperial Guard asked the Shi Shang carefully, "Your Highness, do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" After falling from such a high place, His Highness looked as if nothing had happened, which surprised everyone. In their hearts, they had already prepared for the worst. If something happened to His Highness, only death awaited them when they returned. At this time, seeing that Shi Shang was fine, these people slowly relaxed. No one was willing to die. My back is injured. Get someone to treat it for me. Shi Shang grimaced. Yes. The imperial guards immediately sent someone to bring the imperial physician down. They pulled down the curtains and treated Shi Shang's wounds on the spot. After that, he organized people to send the Shi Shang back to the imperial palace. The host's title was Chongning, which meant eternal happiness and tranquility. The palace she lived in was called Jingning Palace. It was warm in winter and cool in summer. Many princesses in the imperial palace coveted it. The moment Shi Shang returned, she was surrounded by layers upon layers of people. The imperial physicians sent by the emperor were taking turns to treat her. This was the treatment of a supporting actress. There was nothing wrong with it. After the crowd dispersed, Shi Shang had time to have a good rest. In the evening, the emperor finished dealing with state affairs and took time to visit Shi Shang. When the emperor was young, he was also a handsome boy. Even when he was middle-aged, he was well-maintained and still handsome. No wonder so many people still wanted to enter the imperial palace. Chongning. The emperor sat by the bed, his face full of distress. How did you get hurt so badly? The wound on her back was probably caused by a stab, but it wasn't too deep. It wasn't that serious. Of course, this wound wasn't serious in Shi Shang's eyes, but in the eyes of the emperor and other people, it was very serious. If you feel uncomfortable, you must tell the imperial physicians in time. Seeing that Shi Shang didn't speak, the emperor thought he was frightened. Don't be afraid, Chongning. I will get justice for you. Shi Shang blinked and moved her dry lips. She asked directly, how do you want me to get it back? Do you know who did it? The emperor choked. Before the people on the other side came to answer, those assassins were caught and committed suicide. No one knew who sent them. Chongning. The emperor patted Shi Shang's shoulder. Take care of yourself. I will take care of other things. Shi Shang twitched the corners of his mouth. With his pale lips, he looked like a sick beauty. The host was beautiful. She was the kind of beauty that would amaze people at first sight. In fact, this kind of person would only amaze people at first sight. Later, people would feel tired of her beauty and wouldn't have the same feeling as the first time. The emperor said a few words and left Jingning Palace, saying he had something to deal with. Shi Shang had been recuperating for more than half a month. Although she ate all kinds of good food, her wound didn't heal quickly. Your Highness, please slow down. A maid came forward to support Shi Shang, for fear that she would fall. Shi Shang wanted to say that she wasn't so weak. This palace maid was recently transferred over. The palace maid who previously served the original owner had lost her life in the assassination attempt. The one who served her now was called Xiao Xian. She was a clever girl who knew how to read people's faces and knew what to say and what not to say. Shi Shang sat in the taffy chair by the window. Is there any progress in the previous case? Xiao Xian crossed her hands in front of her and answered with her head down. His Majesty sent someone to say that there was no progress. The assassins were all caught and killed. They didn't have anything to identify their identities, so it's hard to investigate. Shi Shang took a sip of tea. So you can't find anything? Who tried to assassinate the female lead? The plot didn't mention the details, so Shi Shang didn't know who wanted to kill the female lead. Xiao Xian didn't dare to answer. She didn't dare to answer casually. Is Yan Jinxiu back? Shi Shang put down the teacup. The bottom of the teacup hit the table, making a crisp sound. Xiao Xian had heard that His Highness and Yan Jinxiu didn't get along very well. She suddenly asked about Yan Jinxiu. Xiao Xian hesitated for a moment before answering. Miss Yan was seriously injured when she was found. She just woke up 3 days ago. Yes. What else? Xiao Xian's heart skipped a beat. She glanced at Shi Shang from the corner of her eye, but she couldn't see the expression on Shi Shang's face because she was standing behind him. "Your Majesty," Xiao Xian said hesitantly, "Your Majesty said that Miss Yan's courage was commendable. He sent something to the Yan mansion as a consolation." Shi Shang's fingertips slid across his chin. Understanding flashed across his eyes. She didn't change much. The plot was still developing. ## today's yogurt-flavored ticket hashtag. Chapter 9:14. The early spring in the capital was still a little cold. As the spring breeze blew, new buds appeared on the branches. The bleak capital was beginning to be wrapped in greenery. Shi Shang walked on the street and passed through the crowd. His gaze casually swept across the stalls around him. Occasionally, he would stop to buy some snacks that he had never seen before. She had sneaked out of the palace without bringing anyone with her. Shi Shang walked around the street and slowly wandered to the Minister of Revenue's residence. There were people guarding the door. Shi Shang went around to the back and climbed over the wall to enter. The Minister of Revenue's residence was quite large, but other than this residence, everything else was very ordinary. It did not look like a high-ranking official of the imperial court at all. Shi Shang crept to the vicinity of the study from the periphery. There seemed to be someone in the study. As soon as Shi Shang approached, he heard someone speak. "Sir, the Ministry of War has been asking us for provisions. It has far exceeded the budget. How should we reply?" Shi Shang crept to the window and looked inside through the gap. A man sat in front of the desk with a booklet in his hand. Another person was standing. The person who had spoken just now was the one who was standing. The man sitting was the Minister of Revenue, Song Heng. "Duan Feng has gone too far." Song Heng directly threw the booklet in his hand on the table with a crisp pa sound. He said angrily, "Does he really think that the Duan family dares to be so arrogant just because they have a favored consort Shu?" "Sir, please lower your voice," the person reminded Song Heng. "Do I have to lower my voice in my own house?" Song Heng appeared even angrier. The person wiped his cold sweat. "Sir, Sir Duan is the Minister of War. His Majesty is biased towards him. Our Ministry of Revenue's work has always been in a dilemma. If we can endure it, we should endure it." Song Heng pointed at the booklet and jabbed it twice. "How can I endure it? Duan Feng is insatiable. Does he think that the Ministry of Revenue is his? Sir Duan has gone too far, but their reason for asking for provisions is very legitimate." His Majesty ignored all the booklets he handed over. At this point, Song Heng became even angrier. He cursed 18 generations of Duan Feng's ancestors. The subordinate's face was full of nervousness. He was afraid that the spies planted in the residence would hear him and constantly reminded Song Heng to lower his voice. Shi Shang leaned against the window and watched Song Heng stomp his feet in anger. This Minister of Revenue was said to be a very upright person. The Minister of Revenue was a very promising position, but this Minister of Revenue had never used his position for personal gain. As for that Duan Feng, his younger sister was the most favored imperial concubine Shu in recent years, and his status had also risen along with her. However, Duan Feng was not someone who would stop while he was ahead. This kind of person would be destroyed sooner or later. Shi Shang slipped into Song Heng's backyard and piled up all the gold, silver, and jewelry she had taken from the cave on the ground. Fortunately, Song Heng's backyard was big enough. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to fit all of them. Song Heng was still cursing in the study when a servant suddenly came to report that there were a few piles of property in the backyard. Song Heng was confused, but he only thought of a small pile of gold. When he saw the small mountain of gold, he was dumbfounded. A group of servants were also dumbfounded. Where did these things come from? It took Song Heng a while to find his voice. Not only were there gold, but there were also gold, silver, and jewelry. The servant who discovered it first stood up and answered, "Sir, these things were already here when I came here." No one saw how these things appeared. But this was even more strange. How could so many things appear here in such a short period of time without a sound? Song Heng's heart was beating like thunder. He paced around the piles of things and said after a while, "Go and call everyone here." Everyone. However, no one in the residence saw how these things appeared. Song Heng hurriedly called someone to report to the palace. This kind of thing should be left to the higher-ups. Shi Shang left the minister's residence and went to a few martial arts centers to give the slightly distorted paintings she had drawn. Some people did not know the value of the paintings, but some people knew. With just a glance, they seemed to recognize what it was. They looked at Shi Shang nervously. "Miss, this is yours? I'll give it to you for free." Shi Shang waved his hand generously. Give it to him? What did this little girl want to do? If a stranger suddenly wanted to give you something, and it was something so priceless, anyone would be flustered. "Do you know what this is?" the man asked carefully. "No." Shi Shang blinked. "Isn't it just a few martial arts moves? Your martial arts center should need it." No, thinking about it, if she knew what it was, she would not have taken it out like this. The man looked at Shi Shang's indifferent expression. His lips moved, but in the end, he did not say anything. Shi Shang smiled and left the martial arts center. When the man found out that everyone in the martial arts center had a copy, his expression would be very interesting. This was a set of swordsmanship. It was said that if one practiced it to the highest level, he could summon the wind and rain. Of course, Shi Shang felt that this was an exaggeration. If one could summon the wind and rain, it would be a fantasy world. Everyone was familiar with the first half of the swordsmanship. No one knew the second half. The first half was not even comparable to ordinary swordsmanship. Only when combined with the second half could the swordsmanship be maximized. The second half had been lost. Countless people in the martial arts world had been looking for it, but no one had found it. After finishing all this, Shi Shang leisurely found a place to eat. In order to prevent the female lead from causing trouble, he deliberately chose a private room. It turned out that she was very prescient. Halfway through the meal, she heard a commotion outside. Shi Shang calmly finished his meal. It had been a long time, but the commotion outside was still going on. She got up and opened the door. Several people were standing in the private room next door. Yan Jinxiu was surrounded in the middle. Several beautifully dressed girls were mocking and ridiculing her. Yan Jinxiu lowered her head, blocking the emotions on her face. "Yan Jinxiu, are you going or not?" a girl asked with a smile. "She doesn't have the guts to go. What if she embarrasses herself?" The girls were talking at once. Shi Shang could tell from their words that these people were probably trying to instigate Yan Jinxiu to go somewhere. If the female lead acted like she did not want to go, and then she was forced to go, these little bitches would definitely slap her in the face. This was a very common trope in novels. Sure enough, it was similar to what Shi Shang had expected. Yan Jinxiu made a few excuses, and the group of girls became more enthusiastic. Yan Jinxiu pretended to be irritated and agreed to their demands. "Then we'll wait for you. Don't be a coward when the time comes. Let's go, let's go." The girls called out to her and left downstairs. When their figures disappeared down the stairs, Yan Jinxiu's angry eyes immediately calmed down. She expressionlessly watched them leave the hall downstairs. Yan Jinxiu stood for a moment, turned around, and met Shi Shang's gaze without warning. Yan Jinxiu was stunned for a moment. She quickly restrained her emotions and bowed slightly. "Greetings, Your Royal Highness." Why was she here? Chapter 9:15. Shi Shang didn't ask her to get up, and Yan Jinxiu didn't dare to get up. She could only maintain her posture. The hustle and bustle in the hall seemed to be cut off at this moment. The entire corridor was silent and there was a strange flow of air. Yan Jinxiu's heart beat faster and faster. She carefully raised her head to look at the person opposite her and accidentally met her gaze. Yan Jinxiu's calmness was fake. There were many emotions in her eyes, but the person opposite her wasn't. She looked at her as if she was looking at a dead object. In her eyes, she was nothing. It wasn't contempt or disdain. She didn't even have her in her eyes. Yen Jinxiu took a deep breath. Your Highness Princess Royal? She didn't say anything. What did she mean? Just as Yen Jinxiu was puzzled, the door to the private room beside her was suddenly pulled open. A man dressed as a guard came out. When the guard saw Yen Jinxiu outside, he called out in surprise, Miss Yen. Yen Jinxiu raised her head slightly and nodded politely. Then she lowered her head again. The guard saw Yen Jinxiu like this and looked towards Shi Sheng. His pupils constricted and he quickly bowed. Greetings to your Highness Princess Royal. Behind the guard, there was a flash of light. Duanmu Qi slowly came out. His handsome face was scrutinizing. He frowned and asked, Why is Princess here? Shi Sheng, who had been silent all this time, sneered. What does it have to do with you where I am? Why did these people like to poke their nose into other people's business? The first thing they asked was why she was here. You're not Ai's ancestor. What right do you have to poke your nose into this? Duanmu Qi felt strange. His gaze changed and he said in a distant tone, Princess has a noble status. It's not appropriate for you to be here alone. Shi Sheng said seriously, Oh? Then how many people do you need to follow the rules? Duanmu Qi. What he meant was that as a princess, how could she casually show her face in public? Miss Yen, what are you doing? Duanmu Qi shifted his gaze to Yen Jinxiu. Yen Jinxiu bowed in Duanmu Qi's direction. Greetings to your Highness. She didn't explain and continued to maintain her posture. Sometimes, not explaining was even more misleading. Princess, how did Miss Yen offend you? Duanmu Qi looked at Shi Sheng again with an unfriendly gaze. There are so many. Her grudges with the female lead Darren could be written into a romance novel worth $1 million. Duanmu Qi frowned. Princess, you should pay attention to your status in public. Are you lecturing me? Shi Sheng raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled. Duanmu Qi had already been pestered by the previous owner and knew that the previous owner liked him. So Duanmu Qi didn't follow any rules in front of the previous owner. Duanmu Qi felt a chill in his heart. The person in front of him was clearly smiling, but her smile did not reach her eyes. There was only a bottomless calmness in her eyes. Falling head first into the abyss was like falling into a deep abyss, unable to find a way out. He could only be trapped inside until he died. Duanmu Qi suppressed this strange feeling. I wouldn't dare. He said he wouldn't dare, but his arrogance was much higher than Shi Sheng's. He didn't look like he didn't dare at all. I didn't know that your Highness doesn't need to bow when you see me. Shi Sheng put one hand on his waist. What, does your Highness want to rebel? Duanmu Qi's eyebrows jumped and he scolded in dissatisfaction. Princess, you can't speak nonsense. This Duanmu Zhongning, why did he change so much from before? When did she put on airs when she saw him in the past? Could it be that his brain was damaged the last time? Shi Sheng raised his voice. Since you don't want to rebel, then what do you mean by not bowing when you see me? Are you looking down on me? King retarded male lead, I can't deal with you. Duanmu Qi's frown deepened and his eyes showed obvious disgust towards Shi Sheng. Princess is visiting incognito. If I bow, wouldn't I expose Princess? Duanmu Qi quickly found an excuse to say that he didn't bow because he was thinking of her. Shi Sheng's eyes curved and his smile deepened. It's okay, I don't mind. Hurry up and bow. Duanmu Qi. What was wrong with her? Princess, Shi Sheng interrupted Duanmu Qi. Rebel. His tone sounded as if he couldn't wait for him to rebel. The disgust in Duanmu Qi's eyes deepened. He froze for a moment, then clenched his fists and bowed. Greetings to your Highness. Without waiting for Shi Sheng to speak, Duanmu Qi straightened his body. Did your Highness leave the palace without permission? This prince will send someone to send your Highness back. Duanmu Qi obviously wasn't asking for Shi Sheng's opinion when he said the last sentence. Your Highness, who gave you the guts to meddle in my affairs? King retarded male lead, he actually wanted to bring her to complain. Sinister. If Duanmu Qi sent her back, the emperor would definitely know that she had sneaked out of the palace. Sneaking out of the palace wasn't a small matter. Even if the emperor still doted on her, he would definitely punish her symbolically as a warning to others. This Bao Bao saw through the truth. This Bao Bao wouldn't fall for it. This prince is worried about your highness' safety. The outside world can't be compared to the palace. There is no one to serve your highness. This prince will send someone to send your highness back. Duanmu Qi waved his hand behind him and someone immediately came forward. Your highness, please return to the palace. Shi Shang looked at Duanmu Qi with a half smile. If I don't go back, will you tie me up and bring me back? For your highness' safety, your highness will not blame me. Duanmu Qi's voice was slightly cold. Send your highness back to the palace. Who dares? Shi Shang's aura intensified as he calmly glanced at the guards beside him. The guards were probably intimidated by Shi Shang's aura and didn't dare to step forward. They could only look at their master to ask for his opinion. Duanmu Qi's expression was cold and his voice was even colder. Who can take responsibility if something happens to your highness? Send your highness back to the palace. The guards looked at each other and immediately stepped forward to take Shi Shang away. Shi Shang wasn't willing. He kicked one of the guards in the stomach and quickly pulled out his sword with his other hand. He pointed the tip of the sword at the other guard's chest and said calmly, "If you don't want to live, then try to touch me." Even through the cloth, the guards could feel the chill. It was as if someone had placed a block of ice in his chest. With his chest as the center, the chill quickly spread to his entire body. The sound of blood freezing could be heard clearly. The bodyguard froze, not daring to move. He couldn't move at all. The mirror-like blade pulled at his frightened face until it was slightly distorted. The iron sword didn't hide its sharpness at all. The moment it appeared, it gave off a terrifying aura. Even an ignorant person would know that this sword was a good item. Yan Jinxiu had unknowingly moved to the side. When the iron sword appeared, she glanced at Shi Shang. When her gaze met the iron sword, an unknown light flashed across her eyes. She quickly lowered her eyes and shrank into a corner, trying to be a backdrop. Duanmu Qi sized up the iron sword with a burning gaze. He didn't even see where she had taken the sword from. She also didn't have anywhere to hide it. The original owner was called Duanmu Ning. Chong Ning was a titled warrior, so he could also be called Duanmu Chong Ning. Chapter 916. Shi Shang kicked the guard away and walked towards Duanmu Qi with his sword. He stopped a meter away from him and grinned. His face was filled with malice. Duanmu Qi felt the unfriendly aura coming from Shi Shang and instinctively became alert. But even so, he didn't expect Shi Shang to directly attack him. The sharp iron sword cut through the air, carrying a strong pressure as it slashed towards his head. Duanmu Qi's body reacted faster than his brain. When he dodged Shi Shang's attack, his brain finally reacted. This woman actually dared to attack him? The second slash made Duanmu Qi understand that she was indeed attacking him. "Princess, what do you want to do?" Duanmu Qi dodged Shi Shang's iron sword again. The iron sword brushed past him and only cut off a corner of his clothes. Tisk. This was the male lead's halo. He couldn't even hit him like this. Shi Shang's eyes turned. He raised the iron sword again. She used a fake move and Duanmu Qi didn't dodge. The iron sword cut a hole in his chest, revealing a large patch of skin. Blood slowly seeped onto the surface of his skin. Duanmu Qi's face darkened. He used his wide sleeves to cover his exposed chest to prevent it from being exposed. The original owner had learned some martial arts and her body was quite strong. Shi Shang took advantage of Duanmu Qi's distraction to beat him up. Shi Shang also wanted to directly kill Duanmu Qi, but she found that there was a lot of resistance. Duanmu Qi's male lead halo hadn't weakened yet. If she forcefully killed him, it would be a bit of a loss. She would just beat him up to vent her anger. After beating up the male lead, Shi Shang clapped her hands and stood up. She pulled at her messy clothes and arrogantly left. Yan Jinxiu was stunned the entire time. When did this eldest princess become so strange? Didn't she like Duan Mu Qi so much before? Yan Jinxiu wasn't the only one who didn't understand. Even the person who was beaten up was stunned. She was actually so ruthless and only hit his face. Duan Mu Qi had lost so much face and was in no mood to flirt with girls. He quickly left under the escort of a few guards. Returning to the Junwang Fu, Duan Mu Qi flipped the table the moment he entered. The servants around him didn't even dare to breathe loudly. How could His Highness be beaten up like a pig's head when he went out? No. There was actually someone who dared to beat up the prince. Was he tired of living? The steward ran in from outside and waved his hand to chase the others away. He carefully stood behind Duan Mu Qi. Prince, shall we apply the medicine first? Duan Mu Qi's breathing had more or less calmed down. He sat to the side and let someone apply medicine to his face. Your Highness, who has the guts to beat you up and even hit your face? Duan Mu Qi grabbed the edge of the table, the veins on the back of his hand bulging. His eyes were fierce as he squeezed out a name from between his teeth, Duan Mu Zhongning. The housekeeper was shocked. Wasn't this the eldest princess? How could Her Highness the eldest princess? Many people knew that she had taken a liking to his prince. How could she beat his prince so ruthlessly? Could it be that hate was born from love? Duan Mu Qi didn't understand what had happened. A person who liked him so much before suddenly wanted to chop him with a sword. What happened in between? How is Duan Mu Zhongning's martial arts? Duan Mu Qi suddenly asked the housekeeper. The housekeeper refused to let his prince call the eldest princess by her name. If someone heard this, it would be disrespectful. Her Highness the eldest princess only learned a few self-defense moves. That's right, with his prince's martial arts, how could he be beaten up like this by the eldest princess? Did the eldest princess bring people? Duan Mu Qi had seen that Duan Mu Zhongning didn't seem like someone who practiced martial arts. Then for him to be beaten up by her today, it was most likely because of that sword. That sword. Bring me a brush and ink. The housekeeper stopped his imagination and went to the side to bring over the brush and ink. Duan Mu Qi drew the iron sword on paper and gave it to the housekeeper. Send someone to investigate what kind of weapon this is. The housekeeper took a look and saw that it was a very normal iron sword. The body of the sword was delicate and straight down without any markings. This kind of sword could be casually made in a blacksmith shop outside. How to investigate this kind of sword? His Highness wouldn't be angry and tease him, right? The housekeeper carefully looked at Duan Mu Qi. Seeing that Duan Mu Qi was about to kill someone, he tactfully shut up and took the things out to order people to investigate. The matter of Shi Shang beating up Duan Mu Qi was still known by the emperor. As soon as she returned, she was called to Yongxin Palace Hall. Yongxin Palace Hall was magnificent. The palace maids stood quietly on both sides with their heads down. Countless candles lit up the entire hall. The emperor sat on the dragon throne with a solemn face. The bright yellow dragon robe seemed a little dim. The atmosphere was oppressive and heavy. Shi Shang stood at the bottom of the stairs. She was rather respectful, unlike her arrogant self outside. Zhongning, do you know your mistake? The candles in the hall flickered at the same time. The light dimmed a little, as if they were frightened by the person who spoke. I didn't do anything wrong. Shi Shang raised his head and said righteously, he was disrespectful to me first. It was right for me to teach him a lesson. The emperor frowned. Disrespectful to you? How was he disrespectful to you? He didn't even greet me when he saw me. If that isn't disrespectful, then what is? Shi Shang pursed his lips. Duan Mu Qi is looking down on the imperial family, the law, and imperial father. Shi Shang didn't hesitate to accuse Duan Mu Qi. He immediately raised the level of the problem by several levels. Duan Mu Qi was just a Jun Wang who had no blood relations with the Duan Mu family. He didn't even greet the princess of the imperial family when he saw her. Wasn't this looking down on the imperial family? If we can face them head-on, we will face them head-on. If we can't, we will use a roundabout way to save the country. The host is making up nonsense again. This is pure nonsense. Please don't imitate it. The emperor pondered for a moment. But you shouldn't have hit him in front of so many people. As a princess, you represent the imperial family. No matter what, Duan Mu Qi had a title. Although the blood of the Duan Mu family did not flow in his body, his late mother's family was not to be underestimated. I can't help it. Who asked the male lead to be so annoying that he had to ask for a beating? The emperor waved his hand and motioned for the others to leave. When only the two of them were left in the hall, the emperor said, "You are a princess. Many people will go through water and tread on fire for you. You can find a secluded place to teach him a lesson." Shi Shang, waiting for a sack? What was the emperor talking about? Ahem. The emperor coughed. Chongning, don't be so impulsive in the future. There are many ways to solve problems. You have to do it without anyone knowing. Do you understand? Shi Shang felt that the emperor was telling him how to do bad things. Was he her biological father? Most likely not. After all, later on, this biological father abandoned the original host and married her to another country. Imperial father will not pursue this matter. But you have to be punished for leaving the palace without permission. The emperor changed the topic. Go back and copy the Buddhist scriptures twice. You are not allowed to leave Jingning Hall before you finish. Shi Shang didn't refute. Twice wasn't too much. Chapter 9:17. When Shi Shang saw the thickness of the Buddhist scriptures, she realized that she had been too naive. The Buddhist scriptures in this dynasty were frighteningly thick. She would die if she copied it twice, right? As expected, he wasn't her biological father. Bad. Shi Shang looked at the Buddhist scriptures helplessly. The palace maid, Xiao Xian, stood beside her and started grinding. Your Highness, it's done. Xiao Xian watched as Shi Shang picked up the brush, dipped it in ink, and started writing. Her movements were smooth and fluid. There was nothing wrong with it. But why couldn't she understand what she was writing? When she was tidying up the study, she had seen His Highness's handwriting. It was completely different from this. Was His Highness practicing new calligraphy? That must be it. Xiao Xian tried to convince herself, but the more she read, the more she felt that something was wrong. It was too strange. Slap. Xiao Xian was startled by the sound. She quickly looked at Shi Shang. Your Highness. Shi Shang stood up and gestured with his chin. You write. I don't know how to write. Damn it. This servant. Xiao Xian pointed at herself in surprise. Seeing Shi Shang nod seriously, Xiao Xian's mouth twitched. But this servant's handwriting is different from your Highness. Whatever. In any case, her handwriting was different from the original owner's. Xiao Xian opened her mouth, but finally bowed slightly. Yes. How could they refuse their master's orders? Even if His Majesty wanted to pursue the matter, they could only accept it. After Xiao Xian finished copying the Buddhist scriptures and Shi Shang sent her to Yongxin Palace Hall, she had been feeling uneasy. But after a few days, nothing happened. The people outside had also left. Did this mean that everything was fine? Your Highness, didn't His Majesty notice? Xiao Xian asked boldly. Her handwriting was very different from His Highness. He noticed. Anyone who wasn't blind would be able to tell that the two handwriting were completely different. Then what? Nothing happened at all? Shi Shang tilted his head and looked at her, his voice light. It's just a formality. Do you really think Imperial Father wants to punish me? I'm not the female lead. If I can't finish copying, I won't be given food. His Majesty punishing her was just a show for the rest of the harem. As for how she finished copying, His Majesty wouldn't interfere as long as she didn't go overboard. Little Xian, I don't really understand how you nobles play. A palace maid hurried over from afar and curtsied to the Shi Sheng. Your Highness, the fourth princess requests to see you. Which fourth princess? Shi Sheng asked subconsciously. The palace maid. How many fourth princesses were there in the palace? Your Highness, are you forgetful? Shi Sheng's mind turned and a figure appeared in his mind. The fourth princess, Duanmu Xian. She was a princess who was close to the original owner. Her mother was one of the 4 imperial concubines, Concubine De. Concubine De was one of the earliest concubines to enter the palace, but because she didn't give birth to a prince, she wasn't favored. Concubine De was afraid that her position would be threatened, so she told Duanmu Xian to have a good relationship with the original host. Everyone in the palace knew that the original owner was favored, so the emperor would naturally take care of the people around her. Concubine De's plan was obviously useful. Since Duanmu Xian received the recognition of the original owner, as long as the original owner had something, the emperor would also give it to her. Of course, the things were definitely different from the original owners, but it was enough to make those who wanted to replace Concubine De think twice. Duanmu Xian didn't have much sincerity towards the original owner. She only played with the original owner for the sake of benefits. I won't see her. Shi Sheng waved his hand. What a mess. They would definitely cause trouble when they meet. I just want to be a princess in peace. I'll eat melon seeds and watch the drama, while tearing apart the couple. Sister Chongning. As soon as Shi Sheng's voice fell, a light pink figure ran over from afar, calling her sweetly. Shi Sheng. Damn, who let her in? Sister Chongning. Duanmu Xian ran in, panting with her small mouth open. Her face was red and her voice was so sweet that it made people's hearts melt. Sister Chongning, I'm sorry. A few days ago, Concubine Dar and I went out of the palace to visit relatives and didn't come to see you in time. When we came back, we found out that something big had happened to you. Shi Sheng responded indifferently. Oh. Why didn't I hear any concern in his voice? Duanmu Xian was stunned and looked worried. Sister Chongning, are you not happy? I'll be happy if you leave. I don't want to cause trouble with passers-by. Sister Chongning? Duanmu Xian seemed to be frightened. Her small face suddenly changed and she looked at Shi Sheng pitifully. What did I do wrong? I came to see you as soon as I came back and brought you delicious food. Duanmu Xian turned around and took the food box from the maid behind her. She went forward and put it on the small table beside Shi Sheng. Sister Chongning, these are delicious. I brought them back especially for you. Okay, you can go. Shi Sheng took the food and waved to Duanmu Xian. Duanmu Xian frowned slightly. There was some dissatisfaction in her eyes, but it disappeared in a flash. She felt wronged. Sister Chongning is in a bad mood. I'll come another day. She stood up and walked a few steps. Then she seemed to think of something and turned back. By the way, Sister Chongning, shall we go to the flower appreciation banquet together in a few days? It's a deal. I'll come to see you then. Duanmu Xian was afraid that Shi Sheng would refuse, so she left quickly with her people. What flower appreciation banquet? Shi Sheng turned and asked Xiao Xian. Why did His Highness seem to have lost his memory? Xiao Xian felt strange, but she didn't dare to show it on her face. The flower appreciation banquet was started a few years ago at the New Moon Lake outside the palace. Every year at this time, there will be a large number of peonies blooming around the New Moon Lake. In the beginning, the banquet hadn't taken shape yet. It was just a group of young ladies going to the New Moon Lake to swim around and appreciate the flowers. Later, a fancy restaurant opened next to the New Moon Lake and it hosted the flower appreciation banquet. Those who could attend the flower appreciation banquet were all young ladies and gentlemen with high social status. So more people wanted to show off at the flower appreciation banquet. It wasn't a blind date. This program was more like a competition. In the end, the restaurant would select the most talented woman in the capital according to the comprehensive results. This event could increase the fame of the woman and bring benefits to the family. Those families naturally acquiesced in it. So now, it was a great honor to be called the most talented woman at the Flower Appreciation Banquet. It was an outstanding success for a folk event to be so popular with the young ladies of official families. Your Highness, are you going to attend the banquet? Xiao Xian asked seriously after explaining. If His Highness was going to attend, they had to start preparing. Shi Shang tilted his head and thought. The girls he met last time should be talking about this. Since the female lead was going, of course he had to go and watch the show. After Duanmu Xin said that, someone sent an official invitation to Shi Shang, inviting him to be the judge of this flower appreciation banquet. Asking the eldest princess to perform, no one would have the guts to do so. The name of the invitation was Juxian Restaurant. For a restaurant to be able to reach into the imperial palace, it was quite impressive. Chapter 9:18. On the day of the flower viewing banquet. The entire Crescent Lake was surrounded by peonies. The fragrance of flowers filled the air and butterflies danced in the air. There was a large pleasure boat in the center of the lake. Light gauze hung down and the sound of musical instruments could be heard. Small boats were constantly sending people up. Strange, why is this year's flower viewing banquet held on the lake? I don't know, but the scenery on the lake should be good. It's the same everywhere. Come, let's go up. The two girls walked past Shi Shang with their maids. When most of the people had gone up, Shi Shang went up alone. She didn't bring anyone because she had told Xiao Xian that she wouldn't go. She had sneaked out of the palace. What's the point of bringing that group of people along with her only to drag her down? As for that fourth princess, Shi Shang had long forgotten about her. After Shi Shang went up, he was led to the front. Some people probably recognized him and bowed to him. There were already two people sitting in front of him. One was an old man, and the other was a beautiful woman. Your Highness, eldest princess. When the old man saw Shi Shang, he immediately stood up and bowed to Shi Shang. His attitude was calm, not too respectful, but not too perfunctory either. Imperial Tutor Qi. Shi Shang nodded slightly. This old man had taught the original owner for a while. Other than being a little naggy, he was good. Your Highness came alone? Yes. Imperial Tutor Qi frowned and began to lecture him. How can you come alone? Who will guarantee your safety? Shi Shang was already a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. Then I'm already here. Do you want me to go back and bring more people here? Imperial Tutor Qi was speechless. He shook his head slightly. Your Highness, please. Imperial Tutor Qi nagged, but he wasn't stubborn. Shi Shang glanced at the woman sitting still. This woman had a strong Jianghu aura. She should be from the Jianghu. Since she was invited here, she should be a famous person in the Jianghu. Shi Shang calmly looked away and sat next to Imperial Tutor Qi. After she sat down, the woman secretly looked at her. This eldest princess seemed a little different from the one she knew. Your Highness, why didn't you bring anyone out? Grand Tutor Qi sat down and didn't stop nagging. Shi Shang rested his chin on his hand and replied, Too annoying. You are the princess of a country. How can you travel without an attendant? Grand Tutor Qi disagreed. Shi Shang glanced at Grand Tutor Qi. You're annoying too. Grand Tutor Qi, choked by the Shi Shang, Grand Tutor Qi finally stopped talking. Shi Shang's early arrival was obviously beyond the expectations of the manager of the Juxian Pavilion. He hurried over and expressed his sincere apologies to Shi Shang and Grand Tutor Qi. Shi Shang found him annoying and sent him away with a few words. When the flower-admiring banquet was about to start, Shi Shang saw that Yan Jinxiu had arrived late. She didn't look well and seemed to have a lot on her mind. She really came. This is going to be a good show. Today, we must teach her a good lesson. Let's see how she will meet people in the future. Are you ready? The few girls who invited Yan Jinxiu happened to be sitting behind Shi Shang. Their whispers fell into Shi Shang's ears without reservation. Shi Shang rested his chin on his hand and slightly leaned his body to one side. He didn't look like a princess at all. Seeing this, Grand Tutor Qi wanted to teach him a lesson. The woman next to them also heard the words of these girls. A trace of disdain flashed through her face very quickly. Shi Shang glanced at her from the corner of his eyes. It was so fast that the woman didn't notice it. Young masters and young misses, thank you for coming to this year's flower-admiring banquet. The manager of the Juxian Pavilion stood on the stage prepared in advance and began to give an opening speech. Then, this year's rules will be the same as last year. The eldest princess, Old Qi, and Red Lady will jointly give a score. The one with the highest score will be awarded the title of the most talented woman this year. Who is she? Why should she be the judge? Someone questioned Red Lady. None of them had seen this woman before. Forget about the eldest princess and Old Qi. Everyone basically knew these two people. However, they had never heard of a strange woman before. How could they accept her? If Miss Lin has an opinion, you don't have to participate. The manager's attitude was neither servile nor overbearing, but it was also very firm. The complexion of Miss Lin slightly changed. She stomped her feet and angrily sat back on her seat. Everyone in the capital knew that the Juxian Pavilion had a background. When it was just opened, someone caused trouble and went to the yamen. The yamen made the troublemaker apologize to the Juxian Pavilion. Since they couldn't afford to provoke them, smart people naturally wouldn't provoke them. No one raised any questions. The event officially began. This competition wasn't for these young misses to show their best skills. Instead, they had to show off their skills in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. In order to save time, 3 people would compete at the same time. One person would be left behind, and the other 2 would be eliminated. In the end, the remaining people would compete again until the winner was selected. Shi Sheng watched these people's performances in boredom. In any case, they were all the same. There was nothing interesting to see. Red Lady also seemed to be a little absent-minded. He reckoned that only Grand Tutor Qi was serious. It wasn't until Yan Jinxiu came to the stage that Shi Shang became a little more spirited. Yan Jinxiu had noticed Shi Shang before. Now that she was face to face with her, Yan Jinxiu didn't know why she felt a little uncomfortable. The expression in her eyes, it made her feel very uncomfortable. She didn't have a sense of superiority. Instead, she had a kind of confidence and unbridled arrogance that came from her bones. She was different from the previous eldest princess. Yan Jinxiu retracted her gaze. She looked weak and easy to bully. She lowered her head to reduce her sense of existence. Start. After confirming that everyone was ready, the manager shouted, "Start." Yan Jinxiu definitely knew these things. However, Shi Shang found that Yan Jinxiu didn't use her full strength at all. She just perfunctorily dealt with it. When it was time to give the score, Shi Shang gave a rare high score. The manager looked at Shi Shang's and Red Lady's scores and the corner of his mouth twitched. Miss Yan wins this round. Yan Jinxiu, who was originally lowering her head, suddenly raised it. Of course, she knew what she was doing. How could she win like this? What kind of joke was this? The girl next to her was also unconvinced. She was Miss Lin who questioned Red Lady just now. How could it be Yan Jinxiu? Did you do it on purpose? Miss Lin didn't dare to point her finger at Shi Sheng. She could only question Red Lady. Although your zither skills are good, it's too empty and emotionless. Red Lady rattled off Miss Lin's shortcomings. Miss Lin was angry at the beginning, but later, she became angry from embarrassment. She wasn't as bad as Red Lady said. She was deliberately finding fault with her. I don't accept it. Miss Lin looked at Grand Tutor Qi. Grandpa Qi, help me say something. She did it on purpose. This is shady. Grand Tutor Qi. Shi Shang was looking at him with a smile. He didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he always felt that if he helped that girl, this eldest princess would tear him apart on the spot. Grand Tutor Qi was not blind. He had lived for more than half of his life. How could he not see that Yen Jinxiu was hiding her strength? Therefore, in the end, he remained silent. Although Yen Jinxiu didn't show her true strength, it wasn't considered cheating. Asterisk hashtag today's Pepsi votes hashtag monthly votes hashtag. Chapter 919. That young Miss Lin caused quite a ruckus and was finally asked off the boat by the gathering Immortal Pavilion. Yen Jinxiu strangely entered the last round of the competition. The last round was a dance competition. Everyone had to perform a dance. Yen Jinxiu never thought that she would enter the last round, so she naturally didn't prepare any clothes. Young Miss Yen, we have prepared clothes. Please come over here to change. Someone from the gathering Immortal Pavilion suddenly walked to Yen Jinxiu's side. The people participating in the last round were all led to the back of the boat. Yen Jinxiu finally stood up and followed them to change. Shi Shang had always given low scores. The participating young misses didn't dare to complain. Who told her to be the eldest princess? They couldn't afford to offend her. When Yen Jinxiu came out, she was wearing a light dance dress. The color was quite bright and matched her appearance perfectly. She was beautiful and alluring. Yen Jinxiu bent slightly and the sound of the zither faintly sounded. Her figure danced with the sound of the zither. Her dance was beautiful and it was like she was riding the wind. Many of the young masters below were stunned. Yen Jinxiu's reputation in the circle wasn't very big. She was like an invisible person. Other than the few that often caused trouble for her, many people didn't even remember this young Miss Yen. Yen Jinxiu's performance today would probably spread throughout the circle. Rip, just as everyone was in a daze, the sound of clothes tearing suddenly sounded and woke everyone up. Yen Jinxiu covered her waist in embarrassment. Her delicate skin could be vaguely seen. There was an uproar below. There were even some young masters with bad intentions who whistled. Yen Jinxiu's face was completely red. It was unknown if it was from anger or embarrassment. At this time, a figure stepped on everyone's shoulders and landed in front of Yen Jinxiu. He took off his coat and put it on Yen Jinxiu. The scene became strangely quiet. A cold feeling spread through the crowd. The air froze and it was like something invisible was binding their necks, making it hard to breathe. Why was the royal prince here? Shi Shang curled his lips. Trick, it was all a trick. Duanmu Qi's gaze swept over Shi Shang. The meaning was very clear. It was condemnation and disgust. Hey! This male lead, sir, has cat biscuits. What did this treasure do now? I even gave your woman a high score, and this is how you repay me. Shi Shang slammed the table and stood up. What are you doing? You think I did it? Shi Shang's roar successfully broke the silence. The stagnant air began to flow slowly. As the fresh air entered their stomachs, everyone felt alive again. Grand Tutor Qi. What's with the princess's eye? Why didn't she look like a princess at all? Is it not the princess? Duanmu Qi was only surprised for a moment, then asked with a cold face. Humph, shallow. Shi Shang rested his hands on the table and smiled maliciously. I did it. Do you think it's as simple as making a fool of herself? Everyone. So the word, superficial, was used to describe what? They may have gone to a fake school. Duanmu Qi berated her in a low voice. Does Princess still know her own status? Shi Shang crossed his arms in front of his chest and smiled like a ruffian. Of course I know. You're a person who can be sentenced to death just by finding a crime. Duanmu Qi. This was different from what he had imagined. Yen Jinxiu suddenly stood up and said weakly, Your Highness, this has nothing to do with the princess. Shi Shang smiled coldly. If it had nothing to do with her, why didn't she stand up earlier? Now that she was facing the male lead, she stood up. What were her intentions? Duanmu Qi frowned slightly and his eyes were cold. Do you know who it was? Someone dared to touch the person he liked. Your Highness, I won't trouble you with this. Yen Jinxiu's voice was soft, as if she was being bullied and didn't dare to speak. Duanmu Qi acted like a domineering prince. Speak boldly. This prince will support you. Everyone was shocked by Duanmu Qi's words, especially the girls who had committed the crime. They had never expected Duanmu Qi to come and speak up for Yen Jinxiu. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. Yen Jinxiu bowed and said softly, No one is targeting me. It's just that I moved too much and tore the seam of the clothes. Miss Yen, you're wrong. The clothes made by my Linglong workshop will never have this kind of problem. Red Lady suddenly interrupted. Her voice was gentle and charming. Miss Yen, don't cover up for someone. Even if you take a step back, the other party might not take a step back. In the end, the one who gets hurt is you. Linglong Workshop's clothes were famous for being gorgeous and good quality. Ordinary people couldn't get their hands on Linglong Workshop's clothes. This Red Lady was actually from Linglong Workshop? But Red Lady didn't say anything. If Yen Jinxiu insisted on saying that there was a problem with Linglong Workshop's clothes and that she was destroying Linglong Workshop's reputation, she wouldn't sit by and do nothing. Yen Jinxiu. She didn't want to cover up for anyone. She wanted to solve it herself. But if she insisted that there was a problem with the quality of the clothes, she would offend Linglong Workshop. She didn't want to attract too much attention. Miss Yen, if you know who it is, just say it. My Juxian Pavilion won't tolerate this kind of malicious competition. Juxian Pavilion also joined in. Yen Jinxiu bit her lips and said softly, I don't know who did it. Then it will be interesting. Shi Shang sat back down and took out a handful of melon seeds. There was still a good show to watch. Duanmu Qi gave Shi Shang a warning glare. Shi Shang didn't back down and glared back. Do you want to see whose eyes are bigger? PFFF. Princess, what are you doing at this time? Your Highness, pay attention to your status. Grand Tutor Qi reminded Shi Shang. Where did all the etiquette that he taught her go? Shi Shang put the melon seeds in front of Grand Tutor Qi. Eat the melon seeds and don't talk. The old man kept nagging. It was annoying. Grand Tutor Qi stared at the melon seeds on the table. What are these? Shi Shang. Are there no melon seeds in this world? There aren't even any melon seeds. This is too shabby. Bad review. These are melon seeds. It's a must to watch a show, Shi Shang explained. He then demonstrated the technique of peeling melon seeds to Grand Tutor Qi. Grand Tutor Qi imitated Shi Shang and put the melon seeds into his mouth. At first, he didn't control his strength well and the shells of the melon seeds were all crushed. After a few more tries, Grand Tutor Qi could skillfully crack the melon seeds. Grand Tutor Qi, who had never eaten melon seeds before, immediately fell in love with them. He ate them faster than Shi Shang. Where did Your Highness get this food? Grand Tutor Qi felt that he should find out where it came from so that it would be easier for him to eat it in the future. Shi Shang flips the table. What should she say? Melon seeds from another world? 10 yuan per kilogram? Shi Shang hesitated for a moment. Then his eyes lit up. It's a tribute. Grand Tutor Qi was a little disappointed. How could they casually eat something that was a tribute? Asterisk little fairy, please give me a tribute ticket. Cherub, your requirements are getting higher and higher. Little fairy, I'm a little fairy. Cherub, don't be shameless. Little fairy, I don't want a ticket if I'm shameless. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.